What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Continental Belts. When you're under the hood, do you ever notice how often you see Continental belts? There is a reason for that. Continental is one of the world's largest original equipment suppliers for the automotive industry. Automakers around the world insist on Continental for original equipment belts. The US, Big Three, BMW, Volkswagen, over 30% of all new vehicles sold in North America. You know what that says? It says Continental knows OE because they are OE. Continental's OE Technology Series Multi-V belt for the automotive aftermarket are precision engineered for perfect fit, form, and function with a true OE pedigree. They're the belts engines already know, so you can confidently spec Continental Multi-V belts. There's one for 98% of vehicles on the road today. You might not know it, but Continental is a leader in automotive technology, electronic components for things like autonomous driving and accident-free zones. That focus on innovation is in every product they make, including OE Technology Series aftermarket belts. We are also brought to you by Beeline Coffee. The Roasted Tire 3.0 is in the store now. This is the third generation roast collab with Beeline Coffee and the Smoking Tire. The first one had the Mustang on the bag. Second one had the Safari 911 on the bag. The new one's got the Lamborghini Countach on the bag. It is delicious. I've been trying it the last couple days, and man, every time they come out with a new version of the Roasted Tire, they really evolve and refine the formula. The beans are still from Honduras. They are spectacularly delicious. And if you use code TIRE at checkout, that's code TIRE at checkout, you get 15% off your entire order at Beeline Coffee from your friends at the Smoking Tire. Lastly, as part of our ongoing collaboration with Blip Shift, now through December 9th, we have two shirts in our Blip Shift store. Go to thesmokingtire.com and then click on the store tab, and the first shirt is the Quick Like a Fox Fox Body tribute shirt. I like this shirt a whole lot. It's only on sale until the 9th. The second one is our California Dreamin' shirt. 100% of the proceeds of the California Dreamin' shirt, 100%, are going to go to the California Fire Foundation to help them assist in the recovery with the horrible wildfires that we had here in Malibu, as well as up north in Paradise. As of today, December 2nd, we have already raised over $10,000 for the California Fire Foundation, but you're only going to be able to buy that shirt through December 9th. So get it now. Go to thesmokingtire.com and click on store, and that'll take you straight to our dedicated Blip Shift store. It's, I mean, on top of being a good charitable donation and good, you know, helping people that need help, it's actually a rad shirt. I ordered two for myself. I'm gonna rock it, so I'm really excited about that. Okay, and now, on this episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast, we mixed up our air dates a little bit, so I apologize that this one got knocked out of order. My friend Sam Smith, one of the great writers working today, he writes for Road&Track. His columns are very cerebral, but on top of that, he is a great driver. He's a very fast racer. I'm jealous of some of the experiences he's had, and I've wanted to get him on the podcast for a very long time, so here he is in studio from Road&Track, Sam Smith. Smoking Tire Podcast. This is the show. What's happening, everybody? It is Thursday. Not that matters if you're listening at home. That's the best part about podcasts. Record them anytime, listen to them anytime. Am I right, Sam Smith?
Sure, why not? I don't know anything about podcasts,
What's up,
but I'll
bro?
agree with you. How you doing?
Your glasses being at that height on your face make you look really obnoxious.
This is my library face. This is me when you haven't put the books back.
This is you looking down on me. You trying to be superior?
I don't look down on anybody.
No, but that's how
Zach.
to look down without looking down physically. You're looking across, but you're looking down.
Is it better if I lower them like this and go?
Yes, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Sam Smith of Road&Track magazine, of NBC Sports' Proving Grounds, star of the Esquire 2014 Car of the Year.
Yeah, the 5 people who watch that are going to be really impressed that you remember.
A couple people watched that. Not more than a couple, but certainly there were a couple. The amount of money spent to amount of people watched was probably like
$1,000 a head.
To date, it's still the only time you and I have been on television together, though.
I know,
It was entertaining
right?
as
Isn't that
hell.
weird?
Yeah.
That they made that, and then the network went under like a week later.
I thought it turned into something. Didn't it turn into like
Turned into
one of those networks that has a weird name, like Grope or Touch or Man or something, right?
Grope TV. No, what did Esquire TV network turn into, Zach?
It was like a noun, like Pulse or.
I thought it was like
Pop? No.
Was it Pop? I think it might have become Pop, which is funny because that's where Nino worked.
What is Pop?
What did
What do they
Esquire
do?
Network be? It was exactly what NBC Universal has shut down Esquire Network and rebrand it as digital platform.
I love that, though. That's actually a suggested question on Google. People actually ask, what happened to the Esquire network?
Well, what happened to is a pretty common, you also get that like on Reddit or like on Reddit, it's always like, anyone ever notice that this guy sucks? Like the leading questions on Reddit where it's just an invite for everyone to shit on something. I hate those.
Isn't most of Reddit just an invite for everybody to show on something?
Where it's all like, why does anyone like vehicle virgins is like the topic, and then there's like a bunch of reasons. I use that as an example because that happened like 2 days ago, but it's probably going to happen to us now. I mean, I'm sure the next topic will be, why does anyone watch this? Today was Doug DeMuro. Has anyone ever noticed Doug DeMuro's videos are repetitive? Well, no shit, dude, because that's how YouTube works. God forbid you do something different, they fucking hang you out to dry. They expect you and want you to, and are rewarding you for doing the same shit over and fucking over.
Have you noticed the Oscars are always an award show?
Have you noticed they always have a host and
That's
give out
some
these
lazy
gold
shit.
statues?
Why is Family Guy all about the same family?
Have you noticed that Family Guy is about the same family every episode?
It's always got that one guy in it. It's kind of weird. God, that's stupid.
Very formulaic.
This show is always the same format. That's how most shows work.
Have you ever noticed that Jeopardy always has the same 3 rounds?
It's always got questions.
Fucking bullshit.
Why doesn't Jeopardy ever have dogs or cars in it?
Jeopardy's the hardest money you can win on television, I think.
I haven't watched Jeopardy, and it's still on, right?
It's still on.
And it's still...
They doubled the money like 8 or 9 years ago. But it's still like, I mean, think about, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or one of those shows. Like, the first question is worth like 30 G's.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you could fucking smoke fools on Jeopardy, and it's like, you've won $17,000. And you go, what? All that genius isn't even worth a fucking Fiesta?
I stopped watching Jeopardy when Trebek shaved his mustache. It's like it
was offensive, wasn't it?
It was. It was an era change. There was just something about it. It seemed wrong. The guy's bare face it doesn't work.
You're
Commit, you
internet.
mountain man. Fuck.
I am?
That's everything that's wrong with the internet.
Oh my
is
God.
What you just did. Like,
Everything-
I'm not watching this because he shaved his mustache. That's ridiculous.
But it
After saying that
was.
people on Reddit complain too much.
Yeah.
It was. You
I
want
said
to
that.
talk about shows being the same every single episode year after year? Years that guy had a mustache, and then one day we wake up, it's gone.
One day it's
We're
gone.
just supposed to be
Change.
okay with that?
Where'd it go, Trebek?
Exactly.
What the
Is it in a
fuck?
box at home? Does he pet it and talk to it?
Is that more or less offensive than continuing a show with a different host?
I
Like,
don't
what
know.
about
Okay,
the Drew
less.
Carey
I
era
was
of
less.
Price is Right?
just gonna say that I can't watch Drew Carey Price is Right, and I don't know why, but I don't want to watch Bob
I actually
Barker anymore.
I like Drew Carey Price is
too.
Right. I do. I think he does a good job.
Did you like Drew Carey's show? Like the
Yes.
Drew Carey show?
I did back in the day. Yeah, I don't remember much about it though.
I don't either. But
Other
I don't
than he
wanna
was
watch
fat
Price
and
is
now
Right.
he's thin.
True. He just seems like a friendly, happy guy.
I just
So-
want. Have you seen the? You been on a flight recently? You see the Alex Trebek game show like documentary? It's pretty good actually. He does. Alex Trebek made a documentary about game shows.
Are you the guy who sits and watches that stuff on TV? I mostly just watch
Are you
movies
the
and
guy
fall
who
asleep.
watches movies
no,
on
seriously.
airplanes?
No, who watched the documentary on like what was it?
It was a documentary on the history of game shows.
I just sit there and watch movies and then fall asleep. I never burn into the TV.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah?
I prefer to
Listen,
watch
I didn't see it.
on flights. I watch a lot of documentaries.
Really?
I think. Yeah, they're there. They're there, and I don't give and I don't like comic book movies. I don't give a fuck. Superheroes, fuck that shit. R.I.P. Stan Lee, but I don't give a fuck. You know what superheroes I like? I like the superheroes where it's like rich guy who makes a suit. Because it's like semi-plausible, but where it's like, dude finds nuclear waste, becomes monster. I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm not about that. I'm not
I like
about
both.
that.
No, I want to watch
Or
some
crossovers? Are you telling me there's a universe in which there's these two of these fucking mutants and they hate each other and they
Of course,
fight?
but that's
Eat a dick.
literally the Marvel universe. That's
I know.
like it's
fuck
been
that
based on that
shit.
for 50
not about
years.
that. Shit's stupid. Not about that. I like the old Batman where he just put on tights and had a cool car.
No, after the Christopher Nolan ones, I can't go back to anything.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's what I'm saying.
it's
Yeah, rich guy who's got toys. I like. I like that. You know?
dark and brooding.
He's got Morgan Freeman making him toys. I like that shit.
I don't know. I just don't have any empathy for, like, at some point you have to overcome something, right? You're not overcoming anything if you're just buying toys and then doing shit with them.
True.
Well, he climbed out of that hole in Batman, the deep
Wait a
hole.
minute, the Nolan ones?
Yeah, he climbed out of the prison hole.
No, Bane did that.
Yeah.
No, Batman
Yes.
also did it.
Later in the movie, that's right.
Yeah.
When did he climb out of it?
Later in the movie, he's imprisoned there, and he gets out by climbing out.
I feel like we already answered this question, Zach. You got to keep up.
He did. He climbed out. I'm telling you, he climbed out. That was a thing.
I think
They cheered him on
right.
and shit. He climbed out after he had like a broken back, and he like rehabbed himself by doing pull-ups and shit.
So they
That's
both
possible.
both him and
Sure.
Bane climbed out of a hole.
They have something in common.
They're not so different, you and I.
That's very good.
That sounds an awful lot like your Sean Connery impression.
Oh, yes,
things
yes.
here don't
Yes.
react well.
I'm auditioning for the part of Bane.
You have one accent.
Will Bane have any sex in this movie? No,
I'll take
I'm
the
leaving.
rapist, Alex.
I'm leaving. You're the man now, dog.
You're the man now, dog. Oh my God, the clip with you and Spinelli. Jesus.
That,
Oh, man.
quick plug, was during the shooting of the Le Mans Special for Drive, which airs this Sunday.
Which looks great, by the way. I saw
Or
the trailer on
does.
Instagram.
It airs
Zach,
last Sunday.
Zach got my old job.
I did, literally.
Zach got, well, you got like a fourth of my old job, right? My old job got split into like 4 jobs. Like, you got some.
It takes 4 people to make one Matt Flair.
True. Physically, in terms of mass, yes, it does.
If you didn't say it, the internet was going
I know.
to.
That's why I have to jump on that grenade
Gotta
first.
get out in front.
No, Zach got some segments. Kristen Lee got a couple of segments. Who else got segments?
Alex.
Oh, Alex Roy, but he was there. He was there before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you got half my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked great, though. You were telling me about the 6-year-old thing the other night at dinner. So a 6-year-old
Really?
kid kicked
How
your
did
ass
she
in a
taste?
cart?
Oh, what? Sorry.
Smoked me. This kid was 6. All he does is go. He's too young to compete in go-karting for like another 6 months or something. And I raced him with a more powerful cart. Destruction. Absolute embarrassment.
Because of driving skill or because the power to weight was still that good?
I think because of driving karting skill. Like, I mean,
a
he knew the
6-year-old weighs
track.
like 40 pounds.
He weighed
right?
40 pounds. But I also noticed that, you know, my movements are used to street cars, which are a lot more forgiving than karts, I feel like. I haven't done a lot of karting, really. Like, I've probably driven good karts 5 times in my life. So if you go in, you know, brake a little too hard or get on the gas a little too hard coming out of it, like you step out, you've just lost several seconds in like the next 3 corners. And he never made an error.
Especially those carts, like if they're not fully spooled up,
Right.
You know that they're fucking laggy as shit if
Yeah.
they're not on cam. So if you fuck up that exit, it's like you know,
And then it
they're
really
gone,
starts
and they're
going.
gone, yeah.
It was, it was amazing.
The thing I love about those things, so I did a thing with a shifter cart in, what was his name? Mimo Gidley a couple of years ago, and he was telling me about how every ounce of the cart tunes how it handles, right? So they put a different stiffness seat in it, and the thing points into a corner differently.
Yeah.
What?
And after like 2 or 3, I don't know, seasons, years, months, whatever it was, the frame loses its snap, and you have to replace the frame because it actually it sits there and work hardens itself, and because the frame and the seat and the braces are all the spring rate of the cart,
Right.
and they don't
because
have
they don't
any,
have fucking shocks.
They don't have
That's
suspension. So
crazy.
like
Yeah.
your body actually ends up being the damper, and as the cart ages, it handles differently. And so they'll replace tubing with different, modulus tubing and dick around with the whole thing until it works right. And then as it gets age on it, they actually have to throw it away or it doesn't turn right.
Yeah.
So they just replace the frame as it gets older.
That makes sense.
Wow.
When I was doing kart racing, I would bend the you wouldn't just turn the wheel, you would physically bend it like this to make the cart turn harder. Like you turn it and then go and press the steering wheel like that, and it would
shit.
actually make the cart turn harder.
Yeah,
I've
because
never heard of that.
they don't have suspension. The whole way they turn is by lifting the inside wheel. They don't have
Right.
suspension. They don't have a diff. So the only way you get the car to turn is by stiffing it up enough so that when you put it in, the inside wheel is off the ground. But in the rain, that doesn't work. And so it's all there's 1,000 things they screw with. And apparently, like what is it? Supernats in Vegas is going on now.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and it's all Mimo was saying it comes down to literally hundredths of a second, and it's all sensitivity and tuning. Because most of those guys are pretty decent. They're all
very good.
talent-wise.
Yeah,
they're all
of course.
really, really good, right?
Wow.
The dude
really
who bought
great.
my Mustang, his kid is running in Supernats. His kid's like 10.
Jesus.
And he's running, whatever the age class is, he's running in that. And apparently he's very good.
I mean, I'm sure you started when he was 7.
Yeah.
I bet, I want to ask you actually about car setup. Do you have any book recommendations for learning about car setup?
Oh God, any of the Carroll Smith stuff. So like, Tune to Win, Wrenched. I forget what half the titles are. There's Drive to Win, Tune to Win, Engineer to Win. But it's all they work backward from like the basics of hardware and suspension geometry all the way up to like what a driver feels and how to translate that into what the car needs to do.
Okay,
but it's so. That shit's fascinating because it varies so much from car to car, and driving style to driving style, and tire to tire. And I've met IndyCar and F1 drivers who talk about having, still learning things after 10 or 20 years in the business about how to make a car work properly. It's really interesting stuff.
Wow.
I mean, it's also giant fucking nerdy and
it's super nerdy.
It is.
Remember Thaddeus got that fucking book, the chassis setup book that was like 600 pages of like engineering formulas and angles and shit, and I was just I tried to look at it for 3 seconds. And I was like,
no, there's a reason I write
600.
I'll hire a guy for this.
I could do 200 pages.
There's a reason I write for a living. Numbers make my brain come apart.
Right? You're not much of a data writer.
No,
you don't really focus on data and car writing.
Numbers. Look, right? I mean, car magazines have existed on numbers for a long, long time, but ultimately it's not, this. We were talking about this yesterday with the Aston, right?
Yeah.
Stuff gets faster and faster. That doesn't mean it's better and more satisfying and more interesting.
Well, Camisa was in that chair last week, and
Jay.
we did a great show, and he was talking about the level of bullshit that acceleration testing is.
Oh, completely.
He goes, because no owner would ever treat their car like the acceleration tester for a car magazine treats that car.
And the amount of leeway they get with press cars.
Yeah.
Like, Car and Driver will blow up a transmission or a clutch, and the manufacturers want that to happen. So if they can eke out another couple of tenths by absolutely
it's worth
destroying
the clutch
the
if
thing.
it says 4.2 in the magazine.
Yeah, but nobody does
then everybody goes,
that.
my car does 0 to 60 in 4.2. It's like, nah, well, you driving, motherfucker. Well, you driving, it does in a 7.5. And even if because we've been to drag strips before, and it's like, if you drive a car like you give a shit about it in the least, you're not getting within a second of that magazine number.
Oh God, no, no. And so much of it depends on like weather correction and fucking rollout and what the tires are like and how you shift. And I mean, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean anything except the only guys who really deeply care about that stuff are the engineers, right? The guys building the cars that come back and say, well, fuck, we're 2 times slower than the yada yada. We should really get our shit together.
And forum members.
Forum members care about
Forum members love to talk about what's theoretically possible in their cars. not what they've actually done.
And this is why I'm no longer on forums.
Although, you know what? There are people, I was just at Global Time Attack last week.
How was that?
It's cool.
Yeah? It's Buttonwillow?
It was at Buttonwillow, 13A, the home of Time Attack and whatever. Yeah. And people are fucking getting it on out there. Civic Type-Rs, since you came down to LA to do your Integra Type-R, and we can talk about that in a minute, and the Civic Type-R story. Dude, they're a couple basic mods. These guys are running really strong numbers in these Civic Type-Rs. They're running a guy ran under 2 minutes in a stock car. It was like,
what tires? Like road tires, race tires? What do they run?
It was a 200 treadwear, but it was like it might have been an RE71R, or it might have been a Dureza Star Spec, or it wasn't like a crazy. It wasn't a Hoosier.
But under 2 minutes of Buttonwillow.
Well, here's
road
what they're
tires,
doing. They're throwing away the 20-inch wheels, and they're going with a lightweight, like an OZ or an Enkai 18.
Yeah.
Which will fit over the brakes,
right?
Of course. Then they're doing a sticky tire. They're doing an intake, a fucking ECU tune, an exhaust, and in some cases an intercooler, because those cars get about 2 laps before they overheat.
Right.
But that's it. And they're running fucking really strong numbers. The cornering speeds of a Type R on sticky tires is really impressive.
Those things are sorted as shit. I mean, they're not really that entertaining to drive, but they're fast as fuck.
They are. And they're the one we were driving around is pretty nice. It's a nice.
Right.
It's a nice car.
I don't know, man. I get stuck on the fact, like, we go what? So the last Type R, one and only Type R we got was the Integra, and that left in what was it? So mine's an 01. So
I think 01 was the last year, because 02 was RSX, right?
So that
97 to 01 is a Type R.
So that left a decade and a half ago. They make us wait a decade and a half for another one, and the one we get has a motor that's kind of a dud, and it's enormous, and it looks like it was shat out of a robot, right? Like there's so much going on there, and in the end you drive it around, and it's just kind of not that much of a thing.
It's not super exciting to drive.
Every single Type R car that I've driven has been like.
Pull up Sammy's, Zach. Sammy's Type R is nice.
They're all
yellow
work.
Integra.
They're all work, and they yell at you, and the motors feel like they came from somewhere, and the cars just scream things at you. And this one is just like until the 9.5 tenths, it's just kind of a Civic, and even then, like it's really not. I don't know. Did you like it?
I mean, I like it in a pretty objective way. Like, I think it's I love the seats. I think the seats are fantastic. It's comfortable.
It's not a bad car. It's by the standard of that badge, to me, that would make it that's an amazing Civic Si, right? But you slap that badge on something, it better be pretty fucking special.
I agree. I also thought that my Focus RS was pretty dull unless you were going a zillion miles an hour.
See, that's funny. I think that's a more interesting car around
It is
town.
a more interesting car, but it's still like, if you're going slow, it's just an uncomfortable Focus. It sounds better than the Type R for sure,
right?
And it has better steering, I think, than Type R. But it's better looking for sure, better looking. But if you're not going fast, it's just an uncomfortable.
But see,
Focus.
that's the thing, right? I mean, ultimately, it's really easy to make a car that's interesting. What is it? Jack Baruth calls it the 14th, 10th.
Yeah.
Really easy to make a car that's interesting at the absolute limit of the tire and the limit of the chassis. It's really hard to make something that, like, you drive down the street in your fucking commute and you go and it makes you feel things.
Yeah,
right?
the fizzy thing, the fizzy part of it. Yeah.
Well, because I think the product of the times is everything's like a little bit quieter. You know, people driving around, most people besides us don't want to feel every single thing and be turned on all the time. So the Civic Type R is like kind of comfortable to drive around if the road's not too bumpy, and it's got all these things, and you can use the stereo and use the HVAC and all that stuff. Like, they need to put all that in there so they can sell it to more people.
Of course. I mean, look, I just drove down from Seattle in my Integra, a bone stock 2001 Type R. I drove from Seattle to here over the course of 2 days, and
like
it was
1,300 miles,
and it was miserable. Like, it was good miserable, but it was
you were zonked as fuck when you got here.
We spent the whole day today driving around LA, going to like various Honda hotspots, like the first showroom on Pico, and
did you find it?
Yeah, it's an acupuncture parlor now. It's completely a rub and tug joint.
Did you get some? Did you get a little something going on?
No, I didn't.
That's not how acupuncture works, by the way.
Is it? I've never had acupuncture. I just assume everything. I assume it all comes with blowjobs.
It doesn't matter.
That's just because your life has always come with blowjobs.
I mean, really.
You get a blowjob at the end of all of those things.
Anyway, the point is, we spent all day driving around traffic in LA, which, as you know, is like 80 miles an hour, and then you're crawling, and then 80 miles an hour, and then you're crawling for 3 hours.
Did you hit 80? Wow, that's a good day.
We spent all day doing this shit, and I got out of the car, and I was miserable, and I wanted like 2 days off from driving. Mm-hmm. And nobody buys that shit. Like,
welcome to LA, homie.
They sold. No, I'm just saying, like, they didn't sell. The Integra Type-R didn't sell. This one will probably sell because it's a real car.
Did the Integra Type-R not sell when it was new?
I want to say they made like 3,500 of them over, like, 4 years of production.
But would they have made more if more people bought them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, they would have?
I mean, put that in perspective. So the E30 M3 sold in 88, 89, 90, and 91, 4 years. Mm-hmm. And they sold around 5,000 of those fucking things here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're the same basic idea, and they were kind of sort of both expensive for what they were.
Yeah.
Cars like that don't sell. Doesn't mean I don't like them.
Yeah. The Focus RS didn't sell very well either, actually. It got hyped up for like 6 months, and then they sat around.
Yeah. Were dealers still toward the end taking premium on them?
No, I'm pretty sure maybe in LA, yes, but like you could find them in other in the Midwest and shit for sticker and possibly even below. Yeah.
Didn't yours just went to
Mine went to Clayton, in Ohio.
Who bought the Fiesta?
Yeah, he now owns my old Fiesta, and he found a pump by him somewhere that has 110 octane.
Ooh.
So yeah, because dude, the 100 octane tune on that thing was gnarly. That car rips with 100 octane. It's insanely fast. And I was like, just go find some 100 octane. Because I got him, I loaded up the thing with all the tunes on it for him. And he went and found some 100 octane. And then he parked the car. And then he sent me a picture of it this morning. And it was completely covered in a sheet of ice. It's like icicles dangling off. And he's like, well, I guess this will be here for a minute.
Wow. I love that. Growing up in the Midwest, I love that shit where like you're driving along and you stop at like a Sunoco station and all of a sudden they've got 105 or 108 or something. It feels like a gift. I've never had reason to use it, but
I found what's so nice about LA and having multiple cars is you don't drive a lot of distance here. It's time in the car, but not a lot of distance. And so I could fill up the Focus RS with 100 octane, and that would last a month. And it would be an expensive tank of gas, but it would last a month. And so that there was fun in that. The performance was fucking staggering with 100 octane in that car.
What changed? What was it like besides a shit
Plus
ton
50,
more boost?
plus 50.
Jesus
On
Christ.
both ends. It was a big fucking jump.
Could it put any of it down?
It's all-wheel drive, sure.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, some stuff just lights
I'm
it
not
up.
like a drag launch guy. No. This thing, it put it down. Yeah. You roll into it, but because on the Focus, there's a really big difference between 99% throttle and 100% throttle. You have to be on the floorboard to get the overboost. So you don't it feels a little more aggro all the time, and then you hit the overboost, and it's like,
Do you miss that car at all?
No,
Why?
because I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable.
What?
No, I liked a lot of things about it, but it actually made my back hurt. The seating position was terrible. It made my back hurt.
See, I don't-
Countach is more comfortable.
I don't understand how you fit one of those things. I'm 5'10", and I feel cramped
In the
one.
Focus?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially with those seats.
The seats are too tall. Yeah,
Yeah.
the seats need to be... it wasn't good.
Could you wear a helmet?
Ish.
Really?
Yeah, ish. Like the one time I actually put a helmet on in the car, yeah. Ish. It's better than an Aventador with a helmet on.
so many things are.
Yeah. Anyway, Type-R's, driving around, Fast and Furious house.
Oh my God, we went to Dominic Toretto's house and the Toretto's market. It was so good.
Did you ask someone for tuna? Was it really like that?
No crust.
No crust.
I hadn't. So we got. I did a thing.
I've never been to that market.
Wait, can we just pause for a second? This is a movie about like people stealing stuff, doing some pretty badass things, fist fights, but someone walks in and goes, "Yeah, I want a tuna sandwich the way my mom made it when I was 5. No
Yeah.
crust."
Yeah. Yep.
The Buster, though. Not Dom doesn't ask for that.
I know, but
Nobody likes the tuna.
the Buster's in the FBI or whatever.
He's trying to get some.
I want a Capri Sun and a Glock.
I did this thing. So I actually hadn't seen any of them beyond the first one until about
Wow.
a month ago.
Really?
Yeah. And I sat down and I, for a Road and Track column that's actually not in print yet, but I sat down and decided I was going to watch them all start to finish. And then a buddy of mine came over and he was like, "Well, we are totally getting rip-ass stoned." And I said, "Okay." And we got pretty stoned and we tried to watch them. We got through like 5 in one night. And I don't remember anything after the middle of the third one. But Tokyo Drift was ridiculous.
Yes, it
and
is.
the first one, which I hadn't seen since it came out in what, 98? 99?
2000, I believe, was the
2000?
first one, yeah.
The first one is so bad and so good at the same time.
really
Yeah.
bad.
So
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. They became like real movies around 4 or 5.
Okay.
4 or 5 is when it's like, okay, let's not make these as cheesy as they could possibly be, and then they circled back to that.
How does The Rock work into it? Because I still don't see that. We haven't got that far.
He shows up in 5 or 6. I think 5 he shows up.
think
Maybe
you're right,
6.
yeah.
I don't
He-
remember. 5 and 6 might as well be the fucking same to me.
Kind
I
of.
can't really remember.
They became heist movies, and he is
Yeah.
now the cop because Brian crossed over to the dark side of the illegal
Yeah.
side. So he's stealing stuff. But then in like 6 and 7, they help. It's like you hire the bad guys to stop the bigger bad guys,
Right.
Because the cops can't stop the bad guys.
Right.
So that's kind of where they're at now.
What was interesting was at some point I Googled the Rotten Tomatoes ratings for it, and it was like the first one was really low, and then the second one was slightly higher, and then the third one was terrible. It was like 5 or 10 or 20. And then
Tokyo
the
Drift sucks.
fourth one was down there, and then the fifth one, the internet said got a lot better. And then after that, it was shit until like 8 or 9.
I think 5 was good. Actually,
What happens in 5?
Is 5 Brazil?
Oh, is that the one where some cars and stealing and like capers and heist?
Yeah.
That's
That-
most of
That's most of them. But
That
like,
was the joke.
No, is 5
Oh.
the one? 5's the one where they drag the safes around with the Dodge Chargers. I think that's 5.
That's
right?
Brazil.
Yeah, that's Brazil. That one's fun.
pretty cool.
That one's fun because they drag. It's so dumb. And 6 is the one that has the plane trying to take off on
For 40
the
minutes.
world's longest runway. There's a car chasing airplane on runway sequence that lasts, I shit you not, 7.5 minutes.
But that's the one where they dropped like everyone's got like a pre-runner build. They dropped out.
yeah.
That part was awesome because they
Yeah.
actually did that stunt. Like they drove down a cleared logging
yeah,
hill.
yeah.
But the runway was terrible. And then the next one, when they had the submarine and the ice, and they pull a lever, and the car bunny hops off of an ice floe and
Wait a
escapes.
minute. Whoa,
I got
stop,
real mad.
Stop. This actually happens?
No, that's 8. The ice
That 8?
flow is
There's a
8.
That was bad.
submarine?
Yeah, the ice
There's-
flow. Yeah, 8 is a
That's
submarine.
amazing.
By 8, it's a James Bond movie.
Yes.
basically.
I am so going down this rabbit hole.
It's
This sounds
worse
great.
than a James Bond movie, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
It's terrible,
I
but
mean,
it's good.
also a giant waste of my life, but I really want to waste my life watching them.
You have a lot of life to waste, Sammy.
I have kids. I spend a lot of time at home.
But your kids will love this shit.
These are airplane movies. Oh, 7's where The Rock holds a minigun like Terminator 2.
Right.
Like up
Yeah.
against his hip?
Like,
yes.
shoots a minigun
Okay.
from the hip. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
baller.
All right.
You know who makes those miniguns?
Didn't
Dylan Arrow, same company that makes Dylan Optics, my sunglasses. Seriously, it's the same company. They have helicopters you can shoot them out of and shit. Fucking crazy. Arizona's a weird place, man.
Arizona's dangerous.
But yeah, the Fast and Furious is how disappointing is the house? Pretty disappointing, right?
So it's a neat street, and literally every other house on that street is more interesting. And the house just has a giant bush in front of it, and then another giant bush on the side of it, and it's kind of run down.
Yeah.
The market's cool though, because like you see the spot where he pulled up, and you sit there, and it's like, and there's big like donut
Did you
marks
crash
in the
into
street.
the curb just like he does in that lightning? He fucking crashes into that curb, doesn't he? That
Anyway.
house, it's up by Dodger Stadium, right? Isn't it up on the hill
yeah.
of the stadium?
Yeah, near Legion Park.
Yeah.
Because we went up there too and looked at the skyline, and then drove back down. And
Very exciting.
yes, it was extremely LA. These things that no one in LA actually does, I went and did. It was great.
Yeah, that's true. We don't do tourist shit here when you live here.
No.
No. We did, Sam and I went to the Honda Museum in Torrance yesterday, though, which is about 50 yards from where the Toyota Museum was up until recently. It's in the same building. But pretty fucking cool.
Oh, so it's this anonymous industrial park in Torrance, and it's where the curator was telling me that they basically just started buying old Hondas after a while and collecting shit. And so there's a row of every Accord, most of which have delivery mileage on them.
Yeah,
there was
it's-
like an 84 or an 86 that had 60 miles on it.
There was a Wago van with 84 miles on it. Yeah, see, that's it. It's like, what's great about it is it's mint condition, mundane cars. Which is not what you go to the Peterson, you go to any other museum, and it's like amazing cars, like brilliantly restored Duesenbergs and shit, and like the cars Sterling Moss won fucking Le Mans in and whatever, but like you don't see a fucking Integra with 80 miles on it. You know
Well,
what
there's
I mean?
like F1 cars in the background.
Champ cars. So
Champ
there's
cars and
there's like a
IndyCars, yeah.
Franchitti car and the thing that Jill DeFerrin did like 250 at Cal Speedway or some shit. But it's
the motorcycles up on that balcony there.
But with the exception of like there's real-time Integra in there, and then one of Peter Cunningham's real-time NSXs. But with the exception of that, the road cars are 10,000 times more interesting than the race cars.
Yeah, there's a first gen Prelude there, and I don't think I've seen any first gen Prelude in fucking years. That's it. That's actually it. Oh no, it's not. It's further in the back in that picture. You like that Accord there, right, Sam? Isn't that your shit?
I don't know.
Is it brown or red? What is
I
it?
see that shit, and
Kinda
it's a
both, brown,
cross
red.
between like thinking of Jack Baruth and then thinking of literally every mom I knew in my childhood who drove an Accord.
Yeah.
Like somebody's mom always had an Accord, right?
That white Acura Legend there, the coupe. That's an '87, and it's a V6. And I learned to drive stick on the stick version of that car, and it was awesome. It had a lot of power for back then. It was
I bet
like
it was very nice.
It was like 185 horsepower V6 front wheel drive with a LSD, and it would do huge burnouts. Me and my friends would just like dump the clutch and fucking smoke the tires. It was fucking great.
But it's cool because that whole museum, it's not open to the public, right? They open it for car clubs and shit, but it's just a secret little trove of all
that
this
thing.
special stuff they don't let anybody see.
That's
Yes,
the Mugen CRX prototype.
So good.
It was that thing was really cool. It had these like fan blade kind of wheels that would cool the brakes. It was really neat. They had all kinds of great little stuff in there.
Yeah, it was worth it. It was a cool trip.
The Toyota Museum that is no longer there. Have you been? Did you ever go in that one?
No, what was that?
It's basically this. Honestly, I swear to God, take the Acuras and shit out and put in Toyotas. It's like the first Camry, the 10,000th Camry, the 100,000th Camry. Like, it was a bunch of boring-ass cars in mint condition with even less miles. Like, they had a LS400 in there, like a 90 or 91, like a first-year car with, like, 6 miles on it.
See, that right there is the difference between Toyota and Honda, right? You and I both give a shit about a low-mile Accord because it's kind of rad in a weird way you can't put your finger on, and no one cares about an 80s Camry. Fucking no one.
I found it interesting that there... That's actually kind of true.
It is true because at its core,
Those Hondas are better, more interesting cars than old Camrys.
well, that's what's great about That's what's great about Honda in like golden era Honda. Period. All of their stuff was designed to be even to make mundane shit interesting, and Toyota just designed mundane shit to never blow up.
It was purely mundane and not mundane/fun. They had a red Civic. Those was it EK, which is the square
EF.
EF.
I think
the
it was
super
EF.
square Civic hatch, the real box. They had an SI that was like real mint with like those kind of Group B looking wheels on it. It was fucking
It'd be fun. Their cars are real fun to hammer on.
90 horsepower.
And they're all gone. All the stuff in that warehouse just disappeared, even in LA.
Yeah,
It's just off the roads.
you never see any of it.
No, because everybody drove them into the ground because they don't blow up and they're fun. Yada yada yada.
Ironically, there's car, and there's one empty space there, and I go, what went here? And he goes, well, we had a yellow Integra Type-R, which is ironically what Sam was driving around, and I go, oh, where's that one at? And he goes, I don't know, haven't seen it in a while. I go, it's definitely stolen. Like someone just took that shit.
And then sold it to Sam.
Apparently, they're going to bring a couple of cars to Radwood.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, they have a mint '99 Civic SI.
Yeah,
they're
she
gonna
said
bring
it was
to Radwood.
It was that and a bunch of Acuras, right?
Yeah, and they had some Acuras too. And Natalie came through. I just booked the orange NSX.
Really?
She
That
came
one?
right through.
That's the one that has like crazy. It's a late car, right?
No, not the one. I didn't book the one in the showroom.
Oh, I didn't know.
No, they have they have the updated 19 NSX.
Yeah.
I just booked, Those SIs are fucking great. The
Yeah, they're
99
good looking.
2000. I would love to own one of those.
Talk about another thing that
stock
just
one.
disappeared, man.
Right,
They're
they all got
gone.
modified
Yeah.
and then crashed or parted out or whatever. But if you occasionally a stock one pops up on Bring a Trailer, what was that?
I just
Some
dumped half my drink on my
some
face.
fucking schmutz on you there.
You
want a water?
Yeah, you got one?
Yeah. Occasionally one of those Civics will pop up on Bring a Trailer. It's like 12 to 15 grand if you want a nice one of those.
Wow.
They're
There was
expensive.
one like a year ago that had some crazy low mile on it that went like for $40,000 or $50,000.
This
It was
is
that
like-
color. It was electron
Yeah.
blue.
Good color, good stance, right size, nice looking shape, relatively. Just like little details make it look nice in the front.
What was was that mint like super low mileage S2000 that was just up on Bring a Trailer that Graham Rahal bought?
I missed it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like no miles. I mean, it was like hundreds of miles, or maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 miles. Graham Rahal bought it for 40 grand. I actually think it was well bought.
Those
Wow.
things are cheap, man. They're not gonna be cheap for long.
Yeah.
They're fun, but do
Yeah.
you fit in one right?
An S2000?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
You're the right size. My legs don't fit in them.
Really?
Because the steering wheel doesn't adjust.
Oh shit.
Yeah, not adjust.
Yeah.
I can fit in the car, but I can't drive it right because of my fucking legs and the steering wheel.
They're so good. It's a Japanese E30 M3. Like
They're
it
lovely.
feels exactly like those cars do.
Oh, there it was 1,001 miles bought by Graham Rahal for a staggering $48,000.
Let me put on my glasses like an old person.
It's not. Is it $48,000? Oh yeah, well, that's a
48.
lot. It's a lot of money.
1,000 miles.
Yeah, but Graham Rahal's rich as fuck, dude. What does he care about 48 grand? He doesn't give a shit. Seriously, he's rich as fuck. He doesn't give a shit.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. Yes.
We should get Graham on the show. I know him. He's chill.
Cool.
And he's married to Courtney Force. How dope is that?
His dad's a fucking hero, man.
His dad is a legend. Is that what? Pull up that graph. Is that auction results for
Auction results.
for S2000s?
Scatter plot.
Yeah, they're mostly in the 20 to 30s.
They made a lot of them, but they've been too cheap for too long, man. And it's the other problem. They all get driven in the ground.
They all have a ton of miles, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are out there. And what happened? How are they at high miles? Are they a pitch to keep running right at high miles?
I don't know. Somebody was trying to tell me a while back that they have like crank problems and that the bottom end of the motor really doesn't like long life. And I don't know if that's true or not.
I've never, I believe you, I've just never heard that. Every complaint I've heard about those cars is like snap oversteer,
Oh, fuck
toe,
that.
toe
That's
problems, all that
bullshit.
stuff.
Jesus Christ. I met, when they launched the S2000 CR, it was at Mid-Ohio, like the week before an IndyCar race. And they trotted out, it was right before, so the guy behind every Honda that everybody wants, a dude named Shigeru Urahara, and he retired right after the S2000 CR. The CR was a gift, basically a gift to him from the company and a gift from him to the company. And it was his swan song thing. They let him design it as like a, you've been amazing, farewell. But he's the guy behind the ITR, he's the guy behind the NSX, just a really, really cool guy. And he liked his cars loose as fuck, right? And I got to talking to him over lunch at one point. It was actually, oddly enough, that was Dan Weldon was there, and it was right after he had his teeth fixed, because every picture I'd ever seen of him, he had typically British teeth, and ended up having lunch with him and couldn't stop looking at his teeth because they were perfect. But Uhar was saying that somebody asked him about all the, because the reputation that the AP1s have for backing everybody into a ditch, right? They're like air-cooled 911s. Somebody asked him whether he wanted to make the change, because whatever the kinematic change in the back of an AP2 is, it fixes the toe and camber change or whatever the fuck it is that makes the cars loose. The early cars are loose, and the late cars are slightly less loose. And somebody asked him if he liked it and wanted to do it, and he's got this very diplomatic Japanese face and kind of sat up in his chair and was like, "Oh, was for political reason." And it was just like, you could tell. And he did the Japanese equivalent of rolling his eyes and just sighing, which is like,
funny.
he just kind of sat silently in his chair. And you could tell that he really wanted to say shit like, "He's the bullshit," but he didn't. It was great.
Speaking of fucking teeth getting fixed, since you're going to go through the whole Fast and the Furious catalog, you should pay very close attention to the evolution of Ludacris's teeth.
Real. Wait a minute. When does Ludacris come in? Is that 4?
No, he's in 2. Yeah. Tej.
Why do I not remember?
But
that?
he gets more and more screen time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
He's in 2, and then he disappears for 3, and then he comes back starting in 4.
And his teeth
maybe 5.
His teeth go uphill?
His teeth get better. He got like dental reconstruction surgery in like the mid to late aughts, and you can see the evolution of Ludacris's teeth.
Zach, can you Google that? Let's go to the phones. Can I see a picture of his teeth getting better?
Yeah, you can compare the cover of the Chicken and Beer album to current Ludacris teeth, and he has like perfect teeth now, and he had all kind of like fucked up, teeth before.
You know what? Speaking as somebody who has kind of fucked up teeth and giant gap between his 2 front teeth, good for him, man.
Yeah,
good
well, that's what you do when you get money. You get your
Yeah.
fucking face fixed.
Fuck yeah.
What does that say? 5 rappers that got...
Dude, there are some...
Traded in their grills for perfect
There are
teeth.
websites that just really waste everybody's time, which we're doing right now.
That headline included the word mouth.
All right,
M-O-U-F.
I'm not
Well, that's a
looking at this anymore.
Ludacrisism. That's a ludicrous...
From yuck
Whatever,
mouth.
good
Yuck
for him.
mouth
to pearly whites.
There you go.
That'll be the title of my autobiography. From yuck mouth to pearly whites.
Wasn't some of the snap oversteer in those cars just due to like a toe change under compression, which you could fix if you wanted to with like different end links or something?
Supposedly, but yawn. Supposedly, here's the thing, right? If you know what you're doing and you drive an AP1 like a baller, it's fine. If you don't know what you're doing and you go into a corner and you get all weird about it and you lift and you stupid shit, it will put you in a fucking ditch. So will an Air 911. Who cares?
There's a video on Instagram. I don't want to pull it up because I don't want to blow up this person, but they're a pretty big commercial director, and they got a bunch of cars, and they have an S2000 at a track day, and the comment was like, just can't get this thing to stick. The guy's in a corner, does not lift the throttle at all, and is just sawing back and forth. So it's like oversteer, catch, oversteer, catch, oversteer, catch, but you can hear that he doesn't ever modulate the throttle. He just stays in it. And like, yeah, no kidding.
This might be hard.
This might be hard to catch if you just...
They're great cars. If I bought one, I'd buy an early one. That's just me.
I think they're gorgeous.
I always like them. I just can't drive my
really good
legs.
with a hard top on them too.
You should shrink.
I should
that.
shrink.
Yeah, just get smaller.
Yeah.
It's easy.
I don't need to shrink. I can drive a Countach, my friend.
Oh my God. I was there. I want this on the record. I was there when Matt Farah picked up his Countach.
How shiny was it this morning,
It's
too?
so red and shiny.
It's the reddest car ever.
I love so he gets the walk around from Eric? Was it
Eric at GTO,
From Eric
yeah.
at GTO Engineering. Literally this Ferrari shop I've been reading about for like 20 years. He gets the walk around, and at one point I stick my head in. They're sitting in the car with the doors up, because of course you do, and it's running, and I could not hear you guys over the sound of the engine, and I was literally like
loud.
6 inches from his face, and you looked at me and you're like, the air works, and I put my hand in front of the vent, and it was the tiniest hamster fart.
No, it's not, because I turned it down because it was really cold. I drove it around all day. So,
Did it work?
So go back to a picture, Zach, where you can see the windows, because I need to accentuate. So right there, that's fine. Any of those. That one's fine. So you can see that window there is divided in half, right?
Yeah.
So the only part of the window that goes down is the lower half, and the lower half only goes down halfway.
It's like a takeout window.
So you couldn't even fit a Big Mac through it. I mean, it's literally like a mail slot.
Okay.
So if the air conditioning doesn't work on one of these, boy, do you have a problem, especially in California.
I saw your car's cranks. Are most of them cranks?
They're
Most
all
of them
cranks.
electric? They're all
No,
cranks?
they're all cranks, the windows.
Really?
Yeah, they're all cranks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so the air conditioning in this car cranks cold as a motherfucker. It got chilly. It actually got chilly in the car.
How do you fit that thing? There's no room in it.
How do I fit in it?
Yeah.
I have to take my shoes off first. First, I have to take the shoes off.
I like that you wore flip-flops this morning to pick that up.
Because I took the shoes off. That's why I drive barefoot. I drive the car barefoot. I got so many DMs today, like at least 5 or 6 DMs like, dude, you drive with flip-flops? And I go, I take them off. And they go, barefoot? Like as if the concept of driving without shoes was like...
I drive with flip-flops a lot. I go canyon driving with flip-flops often. They stick to my feet. I've been wearing them since I was like 5 often. And mine are the right width. There's why is my foot so I can heel toe on the side.
I heel toe barefoot.
They have as much feel as like Adidas.
See, barefoot I get, but
I'm
like
good
every
at
time I
driving
try and
barefoot.
drive in flip-flops, the flop moves around under my foot and I can't.
That's why I
do
take them
things
off and drive barefoot.
You need better flip-flops that stick
Obviously.
better.
But I knew I was going to be getting in and out of the car a bunch today, so I wore flip-flops and...
Oop, I gotta change the thing.
Barefoot works. If I could do it with driving shoes too, with like real narrow driving shoes if I cared.
I feel like I'm in a room with some flop connoisseurs. I don't know enough about flip-flops.
Sounds so good. It has an Albertoni exhaust on it.
What? So that weird, there was that weird like mesh hold grated thing around the exhaust tips. Is that stock? Is that that pipe? Or?
No, that's always there.
It was this like weird scaffolded satin black thing on the back
license
of the car.
plate's actually mounted on it. But
Really?
it's like heat. I think it's some kind of heat fucking diffuser thing. That you can just see it in that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The license plate's mounted on it. But
Could you-
that's stock.
So when you backed up into the garage, you tried it on the sill and then got back in the car. Could you reach the clutch if you're sitting on the sill?
Oh, did you do the sill move?
Yeah.
I tried to do the sill move.
Harris can do it, so you can do it.
Well,
I just
no,
mean
but here-
height-wise.
No, on the sill?
Yeah.
I can do. I think with the sill move, you're supposed to sit on the sill and then put it in gear and use your right foot to ride the clutch a little bit. Like that's your only move. Like you don't do both feet. You do your right foot on the clutch pedal.
I couldn't see his feet when he did it. He was showing Spinelli how to back it up, and he backed it up real nice.
Yeah.
And then stopped it. But
I could probably do. I got to figure it out a little bit. I didn't really enjoy the sill move, and I'm tall enough that I can just kind of lean out the side of the car.
Oh, well, see that? Yeah, then you're fine.
I was contemplating maybe asking Clarion to hook me up a little backup camera to solve that issue.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But I took it to the gym, and I sat in traffic the entire way, and it didn't get hot.
What's the clutch? Is it weird? Like, is the clutch heavy? What's it? Is it pain
on
in
the
ass?
heavier side, but it's not nearly as bad as everybody says it is. Everyone keeps telling me this car sucks, the clutch is heavy, the shifter's... Nah, it's fine. It's totally fucking fine. I drove in traffic. It took me 45 minutes to get from GTO to the gym in morning rush hour traffic, and like, it's fine. Car was fine. Air conditioning going.
Nice.
Fucking fine. And then... it actually has a very short overhang on the nose, so even with the wonky driveway angles, like it was fine. The ride is beautifully supple. Ride's nice.
Got all that tire.
Yeah, big sidewalls.
Mm-hmm. For real.
And then I went to Whole Foods and I filled the fucking. It has a trunk actually. Where the wing is lifts up, and there is a proper trunk.
It's the size of a duffel bag. It's tiny.
And
It's
that's
great.
where my duffel bag went. So I put the fucking groceries in the passenger seat. And a dude pulled up next to me in a vintage Beetle, and it was all about the car. And it turns out he's an instructor at Porsche Experience Center.
No
And-
kidding.
Yeah.
Cool.
And he
cool.
wrote a book called... Oh, fuck. I left his card at home. I invited him on the podcast to talk about it. His book was basically called like something like How Not to Die on a Racetrack or something really on the nose. That was very funny. And then after that, I went on the highway for a little bit. I looked on Google Maps and the highway was clear. So I did a blast up the highway. It was lovely.
Does it feel fast?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Is it like all up top? Is it in the middle? Where is
It's
it?
got a good mid-range punch.
Yeah.
But it builds. It's very linear. It's got good torque at the bottom.
Does it sound good in the car? Because a lot of stuff like that sounds amazing when you're not in it. But
No,
shit
it sounds
inside.
no, it sounds good.
Oh,
It's
fuck
loud.
you.
It's
Fuck
a
you.
loud car. It's not quiet. You hear all engine all the time. The CD player's there, but I didn't have any CDs, so I didn't even try to turn the radio on.
I heard you asking him about it, like oil temp. How long does it take to get that massive thing warm?
I don't actually know because I don't think it was ever fully cold. He warmed it up before we showed up this morning. I don't know. We'll figure it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
It didn't take long at all for the water temp to come up to normal.
I believe that.
That was quick, and it was really nice. I was super impressed at how nice it was to drive. I thought it was great.
The one we had in Miami worked really well. The AC just didn't, so Mike was sweating.
Yeah.
He had a mint green shirt on, which looked amazing, and then when he sweat through it, it's like gray. It's very obvious, and it was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I mean,
He
I
was cooking
can
up.
imagine if the AC broke, it would be real miserable.
Have you
but
driven
the
a
AC works.
512 TR?
Everybody says those are like livable and real
Yeah,
good.
they are.
Exactly. That was
Yeah.
exactly my
Good.
question.
Yeah.
Because that's what we had on that show, and Harris was like, "Look, these both came out at the same time. They're both amazing and gorgeous and quick.
Yes.
But the TR was like a nice big step in livability."
Yeah, I think I drove a TR. I definitely drove a Testarossa, and I would say that it's easier probably to live with, but the sense of occasion is not the same.
Completely agree.
You know what it's got? Fucking power doors, dude. Someone in the 80s, the guy before David, installed power door actuators, so you click and the doors go up.
That's
No
right.
way.
Yeah, it's a little like chiclet of a Viper remote.
It's a
with
Viper
buttons on
remote,
it.
and it's got a remote popper, and you can pop both the doors together from outside the car.
That's amazing.
It's fucking
amazing.
fire.
What I thought he said that what was he saying? He said that the door struts, the things that actually raise the door,
Yeah.
they had to increase the pressure in them because
Yes.
the weight of the actuator in the door was enough to make the doors rise more slowly. Right?
Yes.
It's
and then he
fucking
also
crazy.
said, because it was cool this morning, it was like in the low 50s.
They went slow.
He said, when you park it outside and it's a little warmer out, they go up faster. And when I parked it outside the gym and it sat there for like an hour, 2 hours actually, and when I came out and popped it, they were like, it went right up. I was like, oh, it was not kidding.
Can you pop one door at a time? Or you just have to pop both of them?
No. There's a button for each door.
It's so good.
You'd be like, come on, baby. Bup, bup. It's fucking
doors that do
rad.
this. Doors that do this.
It was great. And everyone who saw me, it was smiles, waves, cameras. I got stopped by a bunch of people. 2 women at the gym, women in their 40s, came up to me. Oh my God, is that your Countach outside? I remember those from the 80s. Like, they were very excited about it. People at Whole Foods were fucking losing their shit. It was great.
We are so completely going to take a trip in it. We're going to do
you
some
know what,
long,
dude?
stupid
I'm so
magazine
happy.
trip.
It's more comfortable than I remember it being.
Yeah.
The seat. It's certainly at least as comfortable as a fucking Aventador. And you and I can go on a highway road trip in it, and it was absolutely lovely on the highway. It was great.
It's
it was
gonna be
really,
good.
really nice. Yeah,
It's going to be good.
yeah. It kind of sucks in traffic. It's not like
It's
not
Countach.
ideal. It's a Countach, but I'll tell you what, better than the DeLorean in traffic.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Idle's smoother. The brakes are more predictable. It's fucking nice. It's nice.
That DeLorean, man. It was so special, but it always had a problem.
It was just always it just wasn't, you know, even at its best, it wasn't that fun. This is like, I would drive this to dinner even when I wouldn't drive the DeLorean to dinner, because it's actually kind of nice to drive in the city.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. And it's like, when I went to buy it originally, like the engine was out of it and the wheels were off it, like it was on a lift. So I was like, and it was like dusty. And it was the same car I remembered, but like when we went back this morning and we showed up and it was detailed, I was like, oh
cool.
yeah, you're
Very
fucking
cool.
pretty.
I love when you guys were talking. I love how those things, like every inch of them looks like it was built by, like it's gorgeous from 10 feet, and then you start looking at the details. And this doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't make it worse for it. But every detail on the thing looks like it was crafted or assembled or stuck together by like 300 drunk elves. Right? It's all rough. It's real rough around the edges, and you don't care.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. it's all good.
The dreamy look on your face when you
It's
said
all
that.
good. When I pulled it into my garage in my house this morning, and a couple people walked by the house, they were like, "Oh, dude!" A guy was driving past in a fully polished Land Rover Defender 90 with no paint on it, just polished. Yeah,
Aluminum?
fully polished aluminum.
Shit.
Yeah, and it had a Discovery swap in it.
Cool.
And he was just like, "That's the cleanest one of those I've seen in fucking 15 years." He's like, that's amazing. You know?
Because who doesn't know what a Countach is? Right?
Everybody knows what
It's
it is.
literally the Lamborghini.
Yeah, everybody knows what it is. It's
good.
awesome. It's so loud in traffic, though. Like, not for inside. Like, you can tell, like, yeah, you roll up, you pull up next to someone and they look over and it idles at 1,500 RPM.
Holy shit.
That's great.
So
They
good.
scream, man. Though I haven't heard yours in years, I would say. But when Spinelli was going across that causeway in Miami, and once it came on cam and stuff, it was
Yeah.
like, Oh, the whole city heard it.
Yeah,
It's
it
real
comes on
good.
cam at like 4,500 RPM. From 4,500 to 7,500, it fucking screams. It's great. But it makes noise all the time.
So good. So good.
We got a lot. Oh, shit. We got a lot of questions, don't we? Are those
Oh,
all
God.
from today? Or
Yeah.
you pulled up? Wow. We know
today.
the last show. Huh?
Those are today.
We got a bunch. What the fuck else? Do we have anything else before we get to questions? It seems like that could drive at least a half hour. There's a bunch of them. All right. Get in the super chat, folks, if you want to talk to me and Sammy about some cars. People ask us questions and we answer them.
I understand how the internet works. Amazingly.
Ryan says, what mods can I do to make my 2016 Audi S3 more fun to drive? It's a bunch.
Or sell it.
Not to
That's mean.
jump in,
I know
but
I didn't mean that. I what could he do?
A lot of things.
Tons
APR
of
makes
stuff.
makes quite a package for that car. I mean, anything you can do to a Golf R, you can do to an S3.
Yeah.
So there's, I mean, any number of bolt-ons you can draw, you can put on that car for power. Even as basically an ECU tune from APR, they're very conservative. You can do suspension upgrades. You can do. I think S3s are mag ride, or
Yep.
they are, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just like a set of sports springs, good tires.
I actually really like those
I
cars.
drove
They're
a white
fun.
one that had everything. It had bushings, trans bushings, subframe, coils, kept the mag ride, and bigger turbos. So the whole mod list is in the bottom of the one.
Oh
take.
yeah, Zach did a video.
And
It was like a week ago,
great.
right? It was
It
not
like
long ago.
it was like a month or something, but it was really good. It handled great.
Yeah.
It turned in awesome. So just go look at that list and you can start checking things off.
I like the S3 a lot.
I like the
It's really
size.
nice.
And it's
Yeah.
like the only
It's
way.
the size of a B5 S4.
Right, it's 90s size, and you get into it. And the only way you can tell that it's a new car is because it's the interior is all cramped because they had to package and all the crash shit. But it's the right size. It
Yeah.
feels like something 20 years old.
Too many cars are too big.
Totally.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. Luis says, I'm driving to Oklahoma City from LA. What would you check out along the way? What's up? Can you pull up a map of what's between LA and Oklahoma City? What route would you take to get there? I mean, is it Grand Canyon? Do you go to Arizona and do the Utah parks kind of situation? Or do you go up through Vegas and then to Utah?
I don't know. I mean, all the stuff. I'm a big fan of all the stuff down near the border, and I'm a big fan of all the stuff up top, like way up north. I don't really know much about the stuff in the middle.
Okay, so Oklahoma City from LA, you're pretty much going across Arizona and then New Mexico and then Texas. So I would say that you should do like some Utah national parks, right? What national park is he touching right
This goes
there?
through Mojave,
Okay.
which, Red Slick Rock. You're on the edge of it. You have to drive in to actually see it.
You could dump down into Joshua Tree, which is always
If you
good.
take the 10, which is looks like it's about as direct, Joshua Tree's right there.
Yeah.
And then you cut up through something called Tonto National Forest, which is big,
yeah.
and that would probably be really nice. You also drive across the national forest. Flagstaff.
I'm a big fan of
Flagstaff's
Flagstaff.
pretty.
Flagstaff is pretty and it's nice. And you also can route a bit to go to Grand Canyon there, and you can also, how far is he? Does he go through Page? Or is that's further north, isn't it?
the big
Does he
mistake.
go near Page, Arizona?
I don't know.
That's a perfect trip though to just like do what nobody ever does, which is just pick an exit on the interstate and then go 50 miles in one direction and then go towards your destination again, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all down near the Mojave and Joshua Tree, there are all these 2 lanes that run pretty much parallel to the interstate, maybe 50, 100 miles away, and you can rip through the desert 90 miles an hour and 100 miles an hour.
Isn't
Nobody
that
cares.
Page right down there on the line? Don't you go through Page?
What's
That's
in
Parks.
Page?
Oh, Parks.
Parks.
Page is Lower Antelope Canyon and Lake Powell, and they're very, very beautiful. Oh, Page is up north there on the
that's-
Utah border.
that's all
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
out of the way. Okay, never
But
mind.
if he takes the northern route right before Flagstaff, he can just dip north and hit Grand Canyon National Park
Yep.
and either come right back down or circle around past something called Great Mountain.
Honestly, the canyon's amazing, and like the shit that nobody goes and sees, the whole North Rim, all that stuff is fantastic.
Yeah. I would say that for sure. And if you want to go through Page and check out Lower Antelope Canyon, it's pretty amazing. And Lake Powell is beautiful in the winter. I like that. Thank you, sir. Nate says, donation for the Countach Fund. Thank you. Corvette question. Will the C7 hold its value better than previous generations because it seems it will be the last with a front engine?
I don't know if it's gonna be the last with a front engine.
You think if they make the mid-engine one, they'll continue to make a front-engine one?
Well, look at it, right? I mean, the mid car is going to be more expensive, and the front car is You know, the big problem with the front engine car, you talk to Uchter and the guys who build it, right? And they say that they've reached the limit of what that car can do from an aero and a brake cooling and a grip perspective and tire package, all of it, packaging.
Have you driven a ZR1?
Yeah.
It's fucking batshit.
It's insane. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But the point is, you talk to those guys, and like something tells me that somebody else probably has a real answer for this, but my guess is that the mid car will be a step above the front car, and there'll still be an entry-level front car for like 40 or 45.
Would that be... Do we have to change tooling, though, to produce two cars under the same model, though?
And you could say the same thing about a base C7 versus a ZR1. I mean,
No, they're built in the same line.
No, that's my point, though. I mean,
Well,
like,
right, but now you have a mid-engine car and a front-engine car going on the same line. That's
nothing about Corvette production has ever made sense. That car's almost been killed 3-4 times, right? It almost died
We
after
haven't
the
seen any
crisis.
front-engine prototypes, though. No replacement I've only seen mid-engine prototypes.
I like your theory.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying that's what I'd dice on, right?
I think it's possible they continue making the C7 for a while overlapping with the C8, but I haven't heard anything about a newer generation a C8 or whatever. But I don't know, the last with a front end, is there really going to be a front engine nostalgia? The problem with Corvettes, as Jack Baruth has successfully argued a few times, is that the best Corvette is always the newest, fastest Corvette.
Right.
You've got a 67 Tri-Power, and then you've got the newest, fastest Corvette. There's not no Corvettes from the 80s or 90s or 2000s go up. They just go down and stay there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like... There are folks who think air-cooled 911s are better than water-cooled, so the air-cooled ones hold their value, go up. There's a fixed number of them, etc. They also are much better made than Corvettes, and so you can refurbish them in a much better way than you can with a Vette, because fundamentally the body architecture is good.
That's a good point. Look at like the 996 discussion. Everyone goes, well, it's the ugliest one. It's an ugly bookmark in between some very good pages. Like 997 is good looking, and the previous were good looking. And so it's like, yeah, some of them are really fast, like the 996 Turbo, but otherwise everyone kind of goes, and then they just go, how fast do I want to go, or how nostalgic do I want to be?
Yeah.
I don't know. Remember, too, they've always made a shit ton of Corvettes, and the only ones that have ever been worth anything are the ones that nobody bought, or that you could like special production order with the crazy motor and the crazy diff.
Yeah.
Or aside from that, it's the first Z06.
Yeah, even
right?
if you go to the 60s and like C2s that are like if it's not one of the crazy special ones,
Right.
it's still $30,000. It's not worth a ton of money.
They made a shit ton of them. They're always going to make a shit
And
ton.
that's the generation that everybody basically agrees are beautiful. But I mean, like the C7 and
Yeah.
it's a lot going on there.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you buy a used Corvette, right? If you buy a used C6 Z06 for $35,000 or $30,000 or whatever they're at now, that will, quote, hold its value pretty well, because there is a bottom to a 500 horsepower Corvette.
But at the same time, man, I mean, and this
They're
is
not
different
investment cars.
This is different for everybody. Buy what you like.
Of course.
Who gives a shit?
I get a lot of people who ask me about investing in cars, and the answer is it's
Don't.
always a terrible idea.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, unless you're buying a Countach.
Do you know anybody who owns a Countach?
Could be a terrible
Who just
idea.
bought a Countach?
Could be a terrible idea. We'll see. Call me back in 10 years. We'll see. Nam says, hey, Sam, how's the Integra Type-R treating you? And do you have any plans to come to Radwood, LA?
I wish I could make it to Radwood, LA. I still haven't been to a Radwood.
You should come. It's your kind of thing.
It is. I like old stuff. I like weird people. I like old stuff and weird people.
Old stuff and weird people is this is a good place to be for that.
Yeah. No, I wanna
Radwoods are
go.
fun.
Sounds
December
fun.
2nd, the Peterson Museum.
Yeah.
Buy your tickets online.
Yeah.
No, and how's the Integra Type-R treating you?
Oh, it's good. It's good. So I left Seattle on Monday morning because it seemed like a really good idea to drive the thing down here for a Road&Track story. And the Road&Track story was here, right?
But it seems like you took some of the windy way, at least for a portion of it.
No, it was just the 101 the entire way. And the thing is, like basically down in Southern Oregon, where the 101 starts in Seattle, like on the west side of Puget Sound. It goes all the way down to Mexico, but it runs. It basically does the job of PCH until you get to California, and it merges with PCH in the northern half. But basically down in Southern Oregon and Northern California, it varies between like this kind of 4-lane winding thing, and then necks down into a lane and a half through the forest for like 40, 50 miles at a time. It's great.
Oh, so those pictures you put in were from the 101?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I didn't even know that.
Whole fucking way. It was
I
amazing.
did not know that.
But the car's great. It's a Honda.
Those pictures are 101?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I did not know that. That is a single lane each way.
Yeah.
That looks beautiful. Where is that?
That's in Oregon. That's like halfway down Oregon, I think. But
Oregon's very pretty.
It's so good.
Oregon's good.
So good, and there's nobody in it. It's not like California.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Give us a little street view there, Zach. Where that is? That looks. Is this Northern California or is that Oregon?
This is Oregon. This is Curry County in Oregon. This is the 101.
Oh my! Wow! Look at
So
that. That's
pretty.
fucking spectacular.
And it's draped over cliffs and goes back and in and out of valleys. It looks like PCH, and then it'll just end up in a forest for, like I said, 50, 60 miles.
That's fucking rad.
It's amazing.
I like that very much.
What happened here?
So the car has 130,000 miles on it, and it had 128 when I left Seattle, or 129. And it turns out that the lifespan of and I've since looked at the forums and talked to people, and they're like, oh yeah, that's about when the stock Clutchmaster blows up. So the stock Clutchmaster blew up in traffic in the South Bay, like just outside of San Jose. It started dripping. It got weird because the pedal got all squickety. It was hanging up, and then it started dripping hydraulic fluid down on my brand new Tigers. So I just started calling around. I called a couple of dealers. Turns out the factory master cylinder is the same as a standard Integra, but is also $200, the dealer. And O'Reilly's has this terrible made in China thing that's probably going to blow up in about a day and a half, but it's $30. So I put it in the parking lot in O'Reilly's just outside of San Jose.
That's impressive. I'm impressed by your wrenching skills. I can see there's like shopping carts around here.
Were you carrying tools?
I had a small bag of wrenches. I had to buy like a pair of needle nose because there's a cotter pin you have to pull. It's real easy to get to. Like I didn't have to get dirty.
Don't you have to like bleed clutch fluid, or you have to do anything else, or no?
Yeah. You just put a hose in the nipple, the slave cylinder, because it's a Honda. The slave cylinder is right next to the exhaust, right next to the header, and it's literally like behind. It's like a foot in from the left headlight, so you can touch it without even bending over. So you just stick a hose on it, and then somebody pumps. I had a friend with me, he pumped the clutch. So
Cool.
it's real easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're good. You're a good wrench.
Yeah.
Don't put that out there.
You have
don't
pictures
you put
on your
that evil on
Instagram
me.
of you like fixing race cars on the side of racetracks.
Well,
I don't do any of
used
those
to get
things.
paid to fix Alfa Romeos, right?
Yeah, but I mean, just because you get paid to do something doesn't mean you're good at it.
I know, because I was an apprentice at a heavy equipment yard for a couple months, and I got paid, and I shouldn't have. They sent me out once remote to like, hey man, we got a problem with one of the trucks. You got to go fix it. And I was like, you sure? You should go. You should go. Jake's like the master tech. He's like, you're gonna go and figure it out. Did not figure it out. A lot of phone calls. Hydraulic something broken. I'm just standing in the middle of this field in Monterey like, I don't know what to I drove a dump truck down here. That was terrifying. Got 14 gears.
No, I got out of school with a liberal arts degree, and that basically is a pathway to joblessness. And I had wrenched for beer and rent money all through college, and ended up working as an Alpha mechanic for a couple of years, and then BMW Mercedes guy with a friend of mine. And I have that thing, like, if I have a lot of time, I'm good, and if I don't have a lot of time, I'm terrible. And that's the death knell with a wrench. There are guys that are good, there are guys that are fast and bad, and then there are guys that are fast and good. And the fast and good guys will always make cash. And if you're doing that for a living, turnover is the big thing, right? And I was never fast enough, and my problem solving wasn't that great.
Zach, get rid of that screen.
This guy already asked us.
Yeah, Zach, Jesus.
Didn't he ask us that last show?
Yeah, we told him Auto FRS is a good idea for a daily.
Yeah. The auto gearbox in the FRS is very nice, Alex. It's as far as autos go, it's a pretty good responsive one with paddle shifters that listen to you.
Maybe his question was in the fail stream. That's possible.
The fail stream?
With Tim.
Oh,
That might be the
possibly.
case.
Well, if so, thanks for coming back and putting up with our shit. What is it like with wrenching? I feel like I'm always either using too much force or not enough, or I have to bend into a position that really hurts me.
Well, I was worried today because I changed my oil and I got a magnetic drain plug like a year ago, and I'm like torquing it down and torquing it, and it's just turning and turning and turning and turning, and it's not catching.
That's bad.
And it's not like free spinning.
Okay.
But it definitely seemed like it had gone further than it should. And I checked the torque wrench. It's fine on other bolts. Get back under there, and it still's not stopping. And I Google it, and a lot of people have reported they've sheared these things off because they're hollow. They have a magnet in the center. if I find my old drain plug, I'm just going to switch it back because I don't want to strip that out.
Well, I mean, look at it this way, right? I mean, there's a reason wrenches are different lengths. Like the big mistake that everybody makes with fixing stuff is thinking that tighter is better and that, you can, everything can be muscled into place. I mean, the amount of force it takes, the amount of torque at the end of a 10 millimeter wrench to tighten a 10 millimeter bolt that's in the end of that wrench is almost the exact same as what it takes to tighten a 17 millimeter bolt. That's why the wrench is longer, right? So you put the same amount of force on a 10 mil wrench as you do on a 17 millimeter wrench, but the longer wrench puts more leverage into it.
Of course.
I mean, you just, when in doubt, don't muscle it.
Right.
Shit
That's
breaks.
why I've been using the torque wrench because high school I didn't own one, so I broke a lot of bolts. So I'm using it, but it's just it kept going in or spinning. I'm like, I don't think there's that many threads. I think I'm out of threads.
I would
don't know
actually
what's
break
happening
things
here.
on the way out. I'd use too much force in getting stuff out and breaking them that way, breaking the heads off of bolts and shit like
Oh,
that.
that means the bolt's probably like frozen in there.
Yeah, well,
you just got a WD-40 it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think of that. I just was like,
Oh,
more,
yeah.
just more. I gave up eventually and said, fuck it, and let someone who knows what they're doing do
That's
those
the
things.
other
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I did the math. I go, if I work as hard at my job as I can pay someone to work really hard at their job and not waste my fucking time.
You have to enjoy it, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
you
it
do have
never
to enjoy
makes
it.
sense.
If
It's
you don't
never
enjoy
worth
it,
your time.
find a way to pay someone to do
Right.
it for sure. And of course, I understand if people out there don't enjoy it but have to do it.
Yeah.
I understand that.
I do a lot of times.
I worked my way out of that one. Jose says BMW M2 versus a Porsche 718 GTS as a third car with regular track use.
Ooh. Well, it depends on what. I mean, God, that hangs on so many things, right? What do you like in a track car? What do you like when you pay for parts?
Yeah.
How much do you really need that back seat and a usable trunk? How much do you care about steering feel? How much do you want a motor that sounds like a Subaru?
I would start with, do you like or can you at least deal with the sound of that car?
I can't.
You can. I know you can't. I can. I don't love it, but I can deal with it.
The whole point of a Porsche is that it should be spitting amazing things at you, right? It should be
true.
a feedback fire hose. Should make you think of Le Mans and great noises and all that other shit. And a car that goes is not that.
Can I throw? I think the M2 is really fun on the track. Actually, it's a pretty fun car to drive on the track. And the 718 GTS is fast. It's fast, legitimately fast.
Proving grounds, which you're on, Sam. Like the GTS was not far behind the GT3 on that course.
From a chassis standpoint, is real good. Like if you stick on 30 decibel earplugs and you don't have to listen to either one of them, it fucking came in all day.
The 718 GTS I drove, which I think may have been the same yellow one that you guys had a sticker price of like 90 grand though, right?
Yeah, that was
91.
That was the one we had.
So Cayman GT4s have gone straight in the toilet.
Really?
Yeah.
I have not been paying attention.
GT4s went from 100 grand to 85 grand in about the last 3 months.
That is a good car.
Yeah. So if it's a third car, I would suggest, and they all have 10,000 miles on them. Every Cayman GT4 is for sale for $84,000 with 10,000 miles on it.
Holy shit.
I would say buy that.
Yeah, all day long.
Yeah.
That answers your question.
Agree.
Yeah. Especially because the GTS is probably as fast as the GT4 on the street, but I think with the right tires and you can make the GT4 quicker on the
And
track.
frankly, a GT4 just has more to say, right? Steering's
does.
a little better, chassis a little sharper, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. New Fee on Two Wheels says, I'm trying to decide between an 07 BMW 330 Xi wagon and a 2010 Lexus ES350 for a daily driver. Similar price, already have a fun car, living in Nova Scotia.
Honestly, I'd go with the Lexus.
2010? What body style is that? Is that the frumpy one?
The one that looks
the
like
body
all
style
the
that
other
works.
Lexuses?
I'm not, huh?
The one that looks
that-
like all the other Lexuses?
No, it's the frumpy one, isn't it? Yeah, it's a frumpy one.
Yeah, it's a Camry.
I'm not really about that one.
It's, I mean, honestly, for me, that comes down to how many miles are on the BMW and how close you live to either a dealer or how much patience you have for waiting for someone to fix it.
That's completely.
It's
Like, do you have
wanna
a
dick
budget
with
to
it?
fix car? Yeah.
A 10-year-old turbocharged BMW as a daily driver
No.
is
That's
rolling the dice, right?
I take that back. That's not a hard no. That's just like you are signing up for a lot of caveats.
Yeah.
Right, like doesn't that thing have a bunch of plastic shit in it that has to be replaced at 100,000 miles?
Probably got a lot of sensors. It's good BMW, and it's a modern-ish one, so it's going to have more sensors than mine and more,
Oh, it's a
everything's gonna be more
330,
complicated.
so it's not turbo. I'm
It's
sorry,
not turbo,
330.
which is good.
Yeah,
that is
that is
good.
That's
yeah.
a regular 6.
Inline 6. which
So
they've
what
been
was
doing
it?
one time.
07?
Yeah.
So that's an E90. So
E90 6-cylinder all-wheel drive wagon.
Like
not
out
terrible.
Out of the modern ones, that's probably one of the more durable late model BMWs. But
it's not a Lexus.
it's not even an E46, Zach. I mean, like it's a good car, but
It's a fine car, but I would go Lexus just because headaches suck, and it's your daily driver. You just want it to work. You already have a fun car. You don't need to try to get fun every second of every day.
Yeah.
And
Maybe see if you can stretch it to a GS. A GS 350 of that generation is going to be nicer than an ES. What's the GS look like? Yeah, that's the one. If you
better.
can swing a GS, man, that's rad. I like the GS.
I like
good
the
cars.
profile of these. The shape, I don't really like the front that much, but they're definitely better than the ES.
aren't those are all LS underneath, right?
Oh, LS architecture?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know about that. Really?
Somebody was telling me. I could be totally wrong on
GS
this.
is just a shortened LS from that?
Well, no, that they end up using a lot of the same bushings and components and
I wouldn't be
undercar
surprised.
shit, and just because it ends up being more durable because the car's lighter.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised, but that actually makes a lot of sense. GSs people don't think about, but they're nice. Thanks, Newfie. Hoyt says, I have a 2005 Passat. What? Really? With a 2.7T.
Gutted?
A B5 S4. Many mods gutted. 400 front wheel horsepower. Jesus Christ. I live 2 hours from VIR. Recommendations on roll cage design and features.
Well, what I like about roll cage is you can get creative. You know, you can kind of have fun. You can have fun with it a little bit. Kind of do what you want, and you'll show up there, and they're accepting of all shapes.
And there's no consequences for poor
Not at all.
decisions. When
No.
shit goes wrong, you're fine.
It's a whiteboard that you can paint on.
Basically,
yeah.
Live your dream. Live your
I'd love to
truth.
see a picture of this fucking thing. Jesus Christ.
Gutted. Who guts a Passat? That's
Passat
amazing.
guts it with the least reliable V6 engine you could find anywhere.
I salute you.
Pushing all kind of boost. Wow. Is it? Oh, did you find it? On Wheelwell. Oh my God. Is that really it? Fuck.
Oh, it's
me.
a wagon. I
It's
missed
a
that.
wagon. Oh my God.
That's properly diseased. Like if you make the choices that leads to that life stage, you're living properly.
Yeah, dude.
You're living
this
right.
guy's got fucking worms eating his brain, but I like it.
Gutted race seats.
Find
That's
somebody.
gutted.
Look at this headliner. It's got roses on it.
Oh my God,
pretty
this dude
rad.
rules. So, I don't know anything about roll cage design. I would say find a series that has a rule book, right, and build a cage to a rule book. Like, what would you do? What would you do, Sam?
I mean, it depends on if you're going to build the cage or have somebody build it. And really, the weirder the car, the more you want somebody who's built a shit ton of cages to take the thing and look at like the subframe points and the hard points. Look at everything in the car and inside of it, and decide where tubes need to go. There is, if you're not building it for a race series, then all you're concerned with is saving your ass, right? The car can be a little heavy. Who cares? Find somebody who builds cages for a living and have them give you their intelligent answer. Even if you're going to fab it up.
Yeah, that's a way better answer than I would have thought of. Yeah. Seriously, no, you've been around a lot of more race cars than me. I just show up and drive them once in a while, but that's good.
That reminds me, how was Mid-Ohio? I didn't make it this year.
It was brutal. It was cold, and the car broke a bunch.
Oh,
Ran some good laps though.
we had fun last year. I wish I
It
could
was
have made
it was fun, and that track when the weather cooperates is fantastic.
It's so good.
Yeah, but it was freezing. It's every time I go there, it's cold as fucking hell. I mean, of course, it's October, so what do you expect?
Well, it's Ohio in October, and I always pack for that thing. I'm like, am I going to need my giant jacket? I'm not going to need it. And I put it in the bag anyway, and I need it, and I wish I'd brought like 3 giant jackets.
Right,
Because
exactly.
I'm stupid.
But there was some heroic fixes. There was a couple big crashes. It was a tough race.
Wasn't that the one where the guys took the E30 apart and then rebuilt the motor 10 times and some shit just to do a single lap?
Yeah, they turned like 4 engines into 1 engine, and they completed a single lap. Speedy Cop was one of the guys who were doing it.
Him?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that guy rules.
Yeah, that's proper.
There was a Ferrari 458 Challenge that crashed. There was a guy who showed up with a brand new ND MX-5 Cup car.
Yeah.
That had fucking 0 hours on it. Put it in the wall on lap 2.
No.
Of an endurance race. You might be
Of an
trying a little
endurance
hard.
race.
Wait a minute, didn't the Baruth car, the car you were running, didn't that end up hitting the Ferrari at some point?
Yeah, not with me driving though.
Yeah.
That didn't cause the big crash. That was just a little rub. But yes.
that contact happened, right?
That contact did happen.
Was it bad?
No, it was a tiny tap, and if you asked me, I watched the video, and if you asked me to judge whose fault it was, I would have a tough time actually saying that this is definitively one car or the other's fault. Like, it was very minor, that particular. There was some other contact that was definitely someone else's fault, not ours. And as usual, my stints had no contact, but yeah, it was a very rough race, and actually I don't think Jack and Charlie are going to run AER in that car next year. Jack's going to buy a seat in that TCS Fit.
Oh, really?
You know those guys?
Yeah, the motor swap thing.
Yeah,
Cool.
is it? I can't remember if it's Total Chassis Solutions or Tailored Chassis Solutions. It's TCS, and these guys fucking build. I think it's Tailored Chassis Solutions. That's it right there. That's the article Jack wrote about it. The case, it's a K24 in a second gen Fit. That's it, and it is really fast.
He said it was fun too.
It's really also really fun. They drive, the whole car's got oversteer fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And you pretty much you drive it as if it doesn't have rear wheels at all. You just point the front wheels where it needs to be and stay in the throttle.
Yeah.
They offered me a seat if I wanted to drive it.
You should do it.
Yeah, then they told me how much it was.
Oh.
It's not cheap.
That's the thing about racing.
Yeah, like, and it would be one thing if I didn't also have to buy a flight and a hotel, and all that other stuff. It's $3,500 a weekend to drive that car. It's very expensive. Yeah. And I mean, look, racing is very expensive. And as it turns out, Jack was probably undercharging me anyway.
That makes sense. He was being nice.
He was being nice, and whatever. He probably was not charging at the appropriate rates. And so if $3,500 a weekend is the appropriate rates, I think I might be out on that one.
He has a new article up about like what it cost him to race his Neon and the Accord compared to owning or leasing a car. And it's a good article about like, people that they're car fans, but they just go to parking lots, and then there's car fans that race, and how he used to be snobby about being the one that raced. But the cost of racing a season of NASA blew me away.
Yeah, didn't he say that I think he said he did an entire season of NASA and he could have leased a Lamborghini or something, right?
Yeah. He could have, leased, I think, a Gallardo at the time. I mean, it's just really expensive for a car that looks, inexpensive and cheap.
Well, his Accord, like World Challenge car that he traded my Corvette for. He traded my Corvette straight up for an Accord World Challenge car. He said it's like $1,000 an hour to run that car. Something like that. It might even been more. I think it was $1,000 an hour to run that.
None of it is ever cheap. No, don't listen to anybody who tells you anything different.
There's no such thing as actual cheap racing.
Nope.
No. This one's from Brett Edwards. Says this comment is dedicated to Jed Copham, who is the owner of Brainerd International Raceway in Minnesota, one of my favorite road courses. Unfortunately, he passed away Sunday at age 46.
Oh no!
Very sad. Can we find out how he died? Mm-hmm. Did you find out? Jed
I'll look.
Copham. Have you ever been to Brainerd, Sam?
No, I haven't. Everybody, it's awesome. Way the hell up there in Minnesota.
The middle of nowhere.
Is it cool?
Amazing. It has the fastest right-hand corner in North America. It's like 160 mile an hour right-hand corner.
In what? What is it, 160 miles an hour?
I mean, in anything reasonably fast.
Holy shit.
It's used the entire, it's got a drag strip at the front straight.
Yeah.
And then it has a big banked right-hand corner at the end of it. And
it's been around forever.
Forever.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a really dangerous track. You could have a major crash there.
Looks like he was swimming from his parents' boat, and then he went missing, so he drowned.
What?
Police are investigating.
That sounds shady. Swimming from his parents' boat and drowned?
Let that be a lesson to you. Never swim.
That sounds sketchy as hell, but that's very sad. And I do love Brainerd, so R.I.P. Jed. Damn, that's a shame. Brainerd is a beautiful race. If you ever get a chance to go. Ray says, will the Batim show be released? Of course it will. It got bumped. It was supposed to go up today. It got bumped to next week because of Mr. Dweck's interview was timely for the release of his movie, and Batim just rambled. I am sorry your super chat question did not get answered when the live stream crapped out. I apologize for that. We had a technical snafu and lost the last 10 minutes of our show, but it was still over 2 hours. It was a good show. Lakshya says, as a driving experience, which is better, the BMW 1M or the M2? And how is good steering supposed to feel? And how is an MR2 Spider? That's a three-parter.
Wow.
How is an MR2 Spider? It's a mid-engine Miata.
Yeah, MR2 Spider is actually one of those things that everybody says is great, and it's actually pretty great.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
It's like a budget Elise, kind of.
And they are not cheap anymore. They haven't been cheap in a long time.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
Is there a good one that's actually? Are the good ones actually worth some money?
Well, I
Or
think
Elises, or are you talking about?
No, MR2 Spiders.
Really?
Like you look at it and you think, that's like $5-6 worth of car. And if I remember right, they are
all 10.
They are all 10, something like that.
I drove one that had a 1UZ or a 2ZZ swap, the Elise engine swap. It was rad.
They're great cars.
Yeah. How is good steering supposed to feel?
Okay, so this is an interesting question, right? So, think about. So when Gordon Murray designed the F1, right, he basically used one car's benchmark for steering feel. He used the mid-'60s Lotus Elan. And I owned an Elan once, and mine was kind of a piece of shit, but that has nothing to do with steering. The steering in Elan is a pretty good benchmark, and there are a handful of cars that engineers will hold up as being like the gold standard for steering feel. One is an Elan, the second one's an E30 M3, and the third one's a Caterham 7. And if you look at those three cars, each one represents a different version of excellent steering. An E30 M3 is accurate, doesn't have a lot to say, but it doesn't totally just bleed things into your hands over and over again, but you know enough. It's not wearing. By the other side of that coin is a 7, which is hyper direct, tells you everything. You drive over a quarter, you know which way Washington's nose is facing. The thing wiggles back and forth. You tram lines constantly. It's like a Formula Ford. It tells you everything and nothing all at once, and it's overload. You run a 7 in your commute, and you get 50 miles in it, and you want the thing to calm the hell down, right? The other side of that coin is the Elan, which is somewhere in between the two. It's light, it's easy, it's accurate. You learn just enough about what the front tires are doing. You can tell when the sidewalls start to deflect, when the thing leans into the left front corner in a right-hander. You know everything, right? There is such a thing as too much steering feel. There is such a thing as that you factor in things like kickback and caster and toe change. You don't want to know everything. And coincidentally, an Elan is actually really similar to a McLaren F1. And a McLaren F1 is everybody knows what that car is, where it carries its weight, how light it is, what it meant. The interesting thing about an F1 is that it's manual steering. And there aren't a lot of supercars, much less cars that heavy, that have manual steering. But it feels exactly like an Elan, where you get in it, you can, at parking speeds, you can turn the thing with a single finger. But it does that weird happy middle ground between E30 M3 good but a little distant, and Caterham 7 too much of everything all the time, where you don't think about it. You just you know everything you need to know. And that's a really long way to say, basically, good steering tells you what's happening with the front tires without overwhelming you and making you think about steering. It's just there, and you forget about it. In the same way that, like a good pair of shoes, you walk around and you don't think about your shoes. You're just comfy. And after 6 hours, your feet don't hurt, but at the same time, you don't, it's not like you've got phone books strapped to your toes. You don't, it doesn't get in the way. It helps you.
That's good.
Very good answer.
Quick answer, which is better for a driving experience, the 1M or the M2? The third part of that question. I think the M2 is, quote, more sorted, but the 1M is a little more ragged and therefore more fun.
That's fair, yeah.
The 1M is actually more engine than chassis, whereas the M2 brings that chassis up to meet the engine.
Traditionally, BMWs, the philosophy for 40, 50 years was that those cars were supposed to have, the engineering philosophy behind the guys who built them, was that BMWs were supposed to have more chassis than engine, right? And the 1M is great because it's ragged and a little weird and feels like the Bitsa kit car that it is.
Yeah.
And the M2 is great because it's sorted.
Yeah. Clayton. Oh, look, Clayton. Clayton, the owner of my Focus RS now.
Hi, Clayton.
In February 2020, my Hellcat lease will be up. Thinking of saving for something like a new R8. Well, there won't be a new R8 in 2020. Or a used Huracan by 2024. That's a long way out, Clayton. Or should I get something sooner and get like a ZR1 Vet or a used R8?
I mean, my answer for
that's a financial question.
Yeah. I always go Vet, right? I mean, if you're thinking about that stuff, what you really want is a Corvette. Whether or not you can accept that you want a Corvette is another thing entirely.
Vets aren't headaches. They're easy to live with.
Yeah.
They work properly. Used R8s are going to be expensive to maintain, but you get a manual and they're pretty rewarding. They're nice.
They're special.
The early cars are real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gated lever cars.
Larry likes his V8 R8 very much. He does. My friend Larry Casilla, he's got a good V8 R8. It's the funny thing about these Lambos, the small Lambos, is they're kind of like vets in that you should always get the newest, fastest one you can afford. You know what I mean? There's no nostalgia for an early Gallardo, right? No one's like, well, I wish this Huracan was more like an early Gallardo. Like, nobody says that.
I would go Gallardo simply because it's the last one you can get with a manual in it. But
yeah.
I'm a giant nerd, not because it's a better car, because it's not.
I like driving a gated manual is really nice. Like,
Yeah.
And I would even consider if you could find a stick shift 430, those are fucking rad. A stick shift 430 Spider is a delightful thing, and the motor is really stout on them. And the things that go bad on 430s are the F1 pumps, and on a stick shift one you don't have that problem. Used R8s are still depreciating though, so it depends how important. Now we get into a financial question, whereas like a 360 with a stick or a 430 with a stick is probably static or even maybe up a little bit. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a really good idea because the R8 to me it's the only one of those that's like special. Well, okay, the new things, let's just forget those because those are very expensive and that's 6 years out. But like a Corvette is a Corvette. He lives in the Midwest, right?
He lives in Ohio.
So there's a million of those around. Like that's the local supercar, I'm sure. An R8 is always a special thing. It was special when it came out. I think the interiors are great. The exterior is cool. But to your point, you could have that same special, interesting feeling with a 430 or a 360.
The nice thing about an early R8 is that you get in it though, and you close the door, and you can do big miles in the car and not think about it. Like it feels like an A6 or an A8.
Yeah, they're really comfortable.
Gets out of the way.
Really comfortable. I did a lot of miles in a first gen R8. It was great. Good luck with my Focus, Clayton. Strength Honor says, is the Type R worth over sticker? No. Certainly not. No.
No, I agree.
No.
There's not a $35,000 car on the planet that's worth paying over sticker for. Period.
No.
There's almost no car worth over sticker.
I'm vehemently against paying over sticker for anything, but that's just me.
I mean, if you're like mega rich and you must have the newest Ferrari or something, all right. But like, are you going to stretch your $35,000 budget to 40 or 45 to get a Honda? Fuck out of here.
Wait 6 months. Wait 9 months.
Yeah, or if you've got 45 grand, you can get a better car for 45 grand. If your real budget is 5 or 10 grand more than what a Type R costs, get a better car. There are better cars out there. Habacabula, I think is his name. I own a Mark 7 GTI. I want to go off-road camping without losing sporty feel. Is there an SUV or truck that has similar feel for the same price other than a Tiguan?
I was going to say SQ5, but he said other than Tiguan. It's like, well, it's
a
cousin.
Q5 is better than a Tiguan.
Right.
For sure. I test drove a Tiguan with Hannah when she was looking at cars. It sucks. It super sucks. Whereas a Q5 does not suck.
No, Q5 is nice. I mean,
You can get an Evoque. A Land Rover Evoque. I went off-roading in one of those.
You did.
And the room goes
And it was
silent.
okay.
It did. It was pretty funny.
An Evoque shares a chassis with a Focus,
mean-
and a powertrain with a Focus ST, and a steering rack with a Focus ST.
And the
but it
difference-
has all-wheel drive.
The difference is a Focus ST is not a JLR product.
That's true.
I mean, do you want to own it for more than 5 minutes?
Well, he is a Volkswagen owner.
He's
so.
got a Mark 7 GTI.
He might have found the one way he could lessen his reliability situation.
Yeah.
I mean, the good news is a lot of crossovers have the same kind of steering as like hatchbacks and sedans, right? They don't have super numb truck steering now. So like you could get an Escape, a Ford Escape.
It really depends on how, like, what severity or difficulty of off-roading are you talking about? Are you talking about like a forest road, just get you up to a campsite? Like there's a lot out there. Like a CX-5
one of those
will get you there.
Subaru XV Crosstrek things.
Like, yeah, that is actually a better climber, or probably comparable to the Evoque, except it lacks power. But if you actually want to, if you need wheel articulation and ground clearance, you're just no longer owning a sporty hatchback. You need to accept that.
We saw an Outback with fucking BFG KO2s on it on the way to go get the Countach this morning. It looked great.
Yeah.
Looked great.
See,
Had a big rack on it. It was cool.
That's what you should get.
Yeah. Get an
I swear to God,
get a
I'm
Subaru
dead
and put
serious.
rally tires on it.
Problem solved.
Or a Forester XT, same thing, rally tires.
Or build a 911 Safari car. Mr. What is this? Where were we?
Hopped,
Oh,
sorry.
Jesus. We got a lot. Okay, we're cutting off the questions. Don't ask any more questions because we do have to finish this show in 20 minutes because I have pizza to make for my girl tonight and her friends, right? You coming over, Sammy?
Yeah, why not?
We got time limit on this one tonight. Mr. Mayday says the Fiesta ST should not have been allowed to die. Should enthusiasts consider buying the most affordable enthusiast cars new to save the genre? Of course. The reason cars die is because people don't buy them.
It's funny how that works. A leads to B.
It's such an obvious thing. Like the reason manuals died is because people stopped requesting them. Mm-hmm. The reason Porsche brought the manual back is because people bitched about it enough that they brought it back. If you buy the things, people will sell them to you. Show up with your money, son.
It's just economics. It's the
I
most
agree.
Basic economics. But
Yes. Quinn 18T says, big fan of Sam Smith's writing. Aren't we all?
Thanks.
One of my favorite articles was when you road tripped to Vegas in a GT350 replica. Was that Webster's car?
No, I sold it to Webster. That was mine.
Oh, it was yours first.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a nice little car.
You had a
I miss
GT350
it so
replica?
much.
It's like a 66.
I had a
right?
I had a 66 fastback that had a built 302 in it and a bunch of random parts on it.
Sweet. How long did you own that for?
Oh, a year, and then we moved west, and I had to sell it because I ran out of space.
Okay. Did
Yeah,
you
it
build
was
it yourself?
It was built by some guys in Wisconsin and found for me by my friend Colin Comer, who now works for Haggerty, but used to work for Road&Track, and I did a bunch of random other stuff to it.
Seems great. What was that orange fastback replica we drove from Con years ago in Tuned? And I got to drive it home, and it was like one of my favorite muscle car experiences, even though it was a
good
repop
one.
body.
A good one is so good.
This was one of those like resto mod $200,000 SEMA car kind of things.
But
It was
you
called
can
like
get
the
some-
Venom or some shit.
You don't need it. You can get the same experience nowadays for probably like 20 to 50.
Yeah.
You know, some decent springs and an engine that works. That's all you need.
The thing is, like, you drive an original GT350, and they feel like somebody crossed some weird old British sports car with every good muscle car cliche and none of the bad ones. Like, the steering's
That's
light,
great.
they make a shit ton of noise, they handle actually really well, they stop okay. And the problem with everybody who ever modified a 60s muscle car is that, like, there's actually a way to do that right, and 99.9% of people don't do it.
I rode in a lot of cars filming Big Muscle that did it right, and I was blown away at the cornering speed, braking performance, everything of like Jimmy Day's the AMX. Was like, I was like, am I in a 997 GT2 right? Like GT3? What the fuck is happening? And he's just dicing up GMR and just, V8 explosions happening. It was great.
Those Detroit speed cars, like fucking. Yeah, that thing was cool. I liked that GT350 for fake or not. It was cool. Whatever your name is says Jerry Mara says S2000 parentheses maybe supercharged C5 Z06 or 996 Carrera for a fun weekend car that could appreciate in value.
That's like saying, well, do I want pizza, a hamburger, or sex? Like, those three things could not be more different.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?
And also,
you can have them together.
And also, zero.
I could have sex with a hamburger pizza?
0 out of 3 of those cars will appreciate in value.
The C5 Z06
Nope.
had like a slight bump 2 years ago, I
Yeah,
think.
but
it's,
please appreciate that car's built like garbage. There's no appreciating. No one today is going, well, the C5 was really the best one. These ones they're building right now really suck. And that's not happening.
That's a good point.
The 996 Carrera is the ugliest 911 ever made, and the S2000 modified with forced induction is guaranteed to not appreciate.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Correct.
It's a lock. So if you want a car that appreciates that will appreciate in value, not those, bro.
I mean, honestly, with questions like this, it always comes down to what do you want personality-wise.
Yeah.
Those three choices are so far apart from each other.
Yeah. Like, you should buy the thing that you want to drive.
Yeah.
I mean, they're totally different. S2000 is a tiny little fucking razor blade of a car, right? A 996 Carrera feels like a Porsche in most ways, but the performance you get out of it is not worth the maintenance cost. If you buy a 996 Carrera for 20 grand, you blow the motor, it's a $25,000 motor. You're now negative 5,000. You know what I mean?
You have to want the Porsche experience to justify buying any 911, right?
Right.
Because on paper they don't make sense, and a Corvette on paper only makes sense. And then you get in it and you drive a C5, and you if you don't really want a C5 or think to yourself, like this is fast as shit, and I only paid X amount of money for it. I think that's great. You'll get in it and you'll be like, this is basically the inside of a Silverado with worse steering,
dude. And when you close, there is no sound in the world that is worse than the door close of a fucking C5. I mean, none. If you're that kind of person where you close that door and you want that bank vault sound, this is when you close it, it's your kid spilling over his bucket of Legos. It's the worst fucking sound you can. That's why I sold my Vet. There's nothing wrong with it. It was beautiful. It was in great condition. I kept it up. It was very fast. But when I closed the door, I went, ugh, every time.
You have to admit, though, C5's Go, that was a good Vet.
Yeah, it was, but it's not as good as the C6Z or the C7Z.
No, I'm just saying it was a good car.
So they won't appreciate it. Yeah. James says, Sam, your story about a road trip with your daughter in the 2CV was awesome. What is the key to keeping car enthusiasm alive for the next generation?
Oh, Jesus. What is the solution to world peace? I don't know. And anybody who tells you that they know is wrong or talking out their ass. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just showing other people what's great, right? And if you find something that you love, share it with people. And that's, I don't know. My daughter is 5. She was 4 when I wrote that story. And she doesn't know anything about cars, doesn't know what they are, doesn't know how they work. She knows that her mother drives a Honda and other Hondas are red, and all Hondas must be red because mom drives a Honda. But the 2CV is a...
Good luck navigating that one.
But the 2CV was a 30 horsepower thing, and the roof comes back, and it feels like, it beats you up with sensation, and she liked it. Like, at the end of the day, cars are fun, and showing people how and why. You put somebody in a Camry and you drive them back and forth to school every day, they're not going to think cars are interesting.
Yeah.
Share what you love.
The first time I saw a DeLorean, I knew that a car could be special.
Exactly.
And I didn't know that they drove like shit or any of that kind of stuff. I just was like, doors up, no paint? What? Cars are special. You know what I mean? So if you expose... and I don't have any kids, but I think if you expose young people to special cars and explain to them why they're special... they will develop an appreciation for that.
And special doesn't have to mean expensive or loud or fast. It's just something
interesting.
Yeah, different that means something to you.
If they look anamorphic, if they look like a cartoon's face, that might help maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
M says, Matt convinced me not to get a Focus RS. Okay. They're very, very stiff from the factory. Mine, I needed a $5,000 set of shocks to fix that. The seat is really not a good driving position, and when you're going slowly, it's basically just an uncomfortable Focus. That's why you shouldn't. There's other reasons you should, but if you want me to convince you not to, those are the reasons not to. Brandon says, hi, Sam. It was awesome seeing you at the Milwaukee Mile this summer. Hope you want to run it again. Also, they have a Fiat 131 race car I can drive. Well, all right. As well as a 95 MX-3 I'm building. Okay.
Oh, the Mile. The Mile is amazing. It's one of the oldest permanent racetracks in the world. It is a mile long. It's an oval that is almost completely flat, which means that you go into it in literally anything, and turns 1, 2, and 3, and 4 are basically like somewhere between...
Is it mini Indy?
Sort of. So it's in the state fairgrounds in Milwaukee, which is smack in the middle of a neighborhood. So they were running I was there because they were running a Midwest Council Club race, and we were running an old BMW there. But like every corner is basically an 80 to 120 mile an hour skid pad.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
It's so cool.
That sounds perfect.
They used to run 1,000 horsepower Champ cars there. It's great.
Oh, there's a Champ car right there. Yeah, look at that.
The Mile is cool.
Rowdy.
It is
that looks
not
crazy.
And it's literally like
flat.
a block away from
a flat mini Indy. Yeah, look at that.
It used to be the race after Indy every year. It's a block away from a McDonald's and like a bunch of row houses.
Thank God for that.
It's cool as shit. It is so cool.
I mean, I'd love to come out. Someone's got to, obviously someone's got to have me a gig. I'm not going to fucking go to Milwaukee on my own dime.
Milwaukee is rad, though.
I'm not paying to go to Milwaukee.
Well, okay. If you can sort it, you should go to Milwaukee.
Someone's got to give me a gig. If I get a gig, I'll go. Sure. Rafa says, I have a 924 Turbo, and I have yet to drive it. Rebuilding it. Thoughts?
Interesting choice of Porsche.
Yeah.
Mostly Volkswagen, Audi.
Definitely. Magnus seems to like his.
Yeah.
He's got one of those GTs.
The interesting thing about those is that for years no one wanted it's like 914s, right? Everybody's all, it's not a 911. And now that all the 911s have gotten expensive, people are kind of cluing into the giant 4-cylinder Audis.
928s are definitely having a moment.
I am, they're fine. I am not a 928 guy.
I drove one that was excellent.
I've been told,
really well sorted one with a manual and good shocks on it, and it was really nice.
I've been told real good ones are real good. I did a cam belt on one once, and that made me never want to see one again.
Yeah, I've also heard horror stories.
They're not that bad. It's just not my taste.
Yeah, I don't have any thoughts on a 924. They don't do anything for me. But good luck with your build.
Yeah.
Jose says, black plastic body cladding keeps me up at night. Why does everything with a hatch need to have the Avalanche's mutant DNA in it? Yo, it's cheap, homie. It's cheap and it's utilitarian, right?
And in 10 years, it'll have faded to gray and make you look like you're even more of a hobo than you are.
Right. You know what I like? I like the Citroen Cactus with the Rubbermaid doors. Have you seen that shit?
They pronounce it cactus.
Do they?
I don't know.
Fuck
I think
the French, honestly.
Whoa.
Fuck the French.
I mean, don't most car companies, like the base car is black cladding and you can get it paint matched, it just costs extra money.
The cactus, however you say it, is funny because like they got done with the car and then it looks like they literally finished designing it and then said, you know what this needs? This needs a giant fucking dong-shaped piece of plastic in the door. And then they put it on there and everybody's like, yes, because they're French. And then the car
is avant-garde.
Yeah, completely. It makes zero sense.
It is like a plastic baguette.
But Zach brings up a good point. If you start with the plastic version, then you can come up with an upgraded version or a luxury trim later and just paint that shit and charge more for it.
I like, though, how the guys staying up nights because ultimately cladding is a lazy design solution, and props to you.
I agree. Christopher says, I'm building an S14 Nissan 240 with a 4.6 4-cam Texid. I don't know what that is.
It's a Ford Camry build from what I've just Googled.
Oh, it's a Ford engine? Oh,
Shit,
4.6. Oh, with a 4-cam. Oh, so it's a Mustang Cobra engine. Z32 brakes as a weekend VIR toy. I have conies and springs. Wow. Any other suspension mods to think about long term?
I don't know what people do to S14s, but generally speaking, the big mistake everybody makes with tuner cars is too much spring and not enough suspension travel. Set the thing up to be easy to drive, which means like if you think it needs to be a certain amount of stiff, back that off 20%. And then when you can put the thing into a slide at 120 miles an hour and catch it easy with your eyes closed, you've got it set up right.
That's a good advice. When we were down in New Zealand, all these guys do these street sprints and hill climbs, and their secret was make it have some give.
Yeah.
So they would have, sidewall and give in the suspension, and then they were super, super easy to drive.
Ultimately, most pro-grade race cars are set up softer than you think. Like 2 years ago, I did this thing where we went to Laguna Seca and I drove 40 Miatas over the space of 3 days. And most of the cars had somewhere between like 500 and 900 pounds of spring in them, which, to put that in perspective, the stock spring rates, I'm guessing here, are probably a couple hundred pounds, and the MX-5 Cup cars probably run like 4s, 5s.
So too much.
If you set the thing up to have to use the suspension, it will be easy to drive. If you set it up so that all the spring is in the tire, it will be hard to drive.
That's a good tip. Especially with a fucking V8 and a 240. Don't make it any harder to drive than it needs to be.
So good.
Really.
GTO V8 Power says, I'm currently building a Spec E46 after running with NASA.
Right.
Spec E46 is a really fun car to build. Do either of you own a race car? And if not, what race car would each of you want to own? You own a race car?
I do not own a race car.
Is that your dad's car?
No. So I've owned several race cars. The last thing I owned was a Formula Ford. I don't own one now, but a friend of mine is nice enough to let me run his BMW 2002 that is somewhere between, it's like a cross between an SCCA E-Prod car and a Trans Am car. But what was the question?
If you don't own a race car, what race car would you like to own?
Oh my God! How long do you have? Like, can we talk for months? That's like saying what food do you like to eat?
I think his idea, Spec E46, the one I drove, was super, super fun.
Yeah.
And I like a GT car. I have no desire to own an open wheel car because I'm too big and they sketch me out. So a reasonably modern GT style race car with between 200 and 350 horsepower is about what I'd like to have. Maybe an E46 M3 race car, something like that. Something easy to drive and forgiving and sounds good, the right size, not too big. Miata's a little small for me, but BMWs are about the right size.
Something with a roof, something with just enough power that you can move it around on throttle at not enough tire, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I think I have two answers. An open wheel Formula Ford. I think I'd like to have that experience, and it would be be good and important. And then something with a roof and a V8.
Yeah, there you go.
There are very few bad race cars. There are only race cars that aren't set up right.
Let's see. Steven Van Ryn says, "Thanks for the Oregon shout out, but don't move here." I agree. There's a lot of racism there. I'm about that.
True.
Not about that. I mean,
it's true.
I live 30 minutes from where you just looked at on the map. There you go. Cool. I drive an old WRX wagon. What's a good upgrade with similar features? Ooh, so I think the car, not mods. Like, what's a good upgrade to a WRX wagon? So a hatchback, reasonably quick, all-wheel drive, possibly.
Does it have to have a manual?
You get a Focus ST because even if there's snow, just get snow tires. But if it's mostly rain there, just get good tires. And the Focus ST would probably make you'd be blown away by the speed actually if your WRX is stock.
A Golf R manual.
Oh, that's
Golf R manual
fantastic.
would be a good upgrade. Or just a newer STI.
I was gonna say if he's coming out of a WRX wagon though, a Golf R is probably gonna be a little fat and numb and distant, right?
Maybe. And expensive.
And not have as much room to carry shit.
Forester XT.
You could do that like an 06, right? That's when they had the 2.5 engine in it. That was a good stout thing.
Or a Volvo V60. If you can go with an automatic Volvo
Those
V60.
are quick. They're not as fun to drive. They're heavier, but they are quick, and they feel pretty good.
Thank you. Jordan says, I recently installed a clutch stop on the M2 competition package and it completely changed the driving experience. Is there any logical reason a manufacturer would have so much clutch travel beyond the catch point?
Some of it is to make the car seem easy to drive because you figure most people don't have sensitive feet, right? And really, when you think about it, when you're driving quickly, you don't use all the travel on a clutch pedal. Like you can get away on a good synchro box with brushing the clutch because all you want to do is just release enough load in the drive line to get the transmission to loosen up so you can pull it out of gear. Most manufacturers put big clutch travel in so a car will be easy to drive and also easy to drive as the pressure plate wears. As the clutches get age on them and the take-up point moves, a race car clutches typically have like somewhere between half an inch and an inch of travel, a couple inches maybe at most, and you have to have a really sensitive foot to know where that happens. Most people don't have sensitive feet.
I think my answer would be the same, just to make it easier to drive. That's pretty much where I would go with that. Thank you, sir. The Adventure Index. Zach says, Zach, I know you've got a 4th gen.
No, I don't.
No,
I drove one.
What's a 4th gen mean?
4th gen Camaro.
Oh, okay. And Matt's slowly getting more into dirt. Okay, would love to see your thoughts on free drawer system blueprints. Yeah, all right, we'll take a look at that later. But anything that's free, the community will like. It's free. You can't complain about something that's free. If you do, you're a cunt. Chaosphere says, I need a new winter car. My summer car is an Alpha 155.
Whoa!
I'm deciding between an 06 Saab 9.5 Aero or an 06 R53 Mini Cooper S.
This is a person with diverse tastes.
Yeah, I've owned an R53 before and currently own a Saab 9.3, which the wife is taking in a divorce. I understand her position. The thing about an 06 R53 Cooper S, I had an 06 JCW. You do not want one of those with over 60,000 miles on them.
No.
They straight up fall the fuck apart.
Imagine
is this what this guy's talking about? This is a drawer system that goes in a Jeep? Oh, yeah, it's for like camping and shit. Oh, wow, it's a grill. Pull that over.
That's cool. This is a cool idea.
Let's share that. This guy's got a whole camping solution that turns your truck into a kitchen. That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'll take that for free. Blueprints for community. Thank you for posting that on Instagram. I like that.
Yeah,
good job.
That's very helpful. That's like those $80,000 off-road trailers have that stuff in it, and you could just build it with some cabinet stuff.
I drove a G-Wagon that a guy built, and he had a system kind of like this that he designed himself. But yeah, if you have plans for that's great. I like that a lot.
The
Good
Adventure
job.
Index.
The Adventure Index on Instagram. Good job, buddy. Nicely done. I would not, 06 Mini Cooper S's are old now, and those things, they just fall apart. I cannot recommend one of those. In winter, I don't know.
Ooh, remember the Saab 9-2X?
What's a 9.5 Aero? Is that, are those good? Are they bad? They're not good, are they?
I mean, at this point, all of them have miles on them. I don't know.
I don't. Those two selections kind of suck. I would go with the Saab just because I having owned a Mini and watched Thaddeus's Mini completely fall apart, I'm done with Minis.
I mean, at that point, a 9.5 is, you're talking a lot of GM parts, and a lot of GM parts made oddly Swedish, and with the Mini, you're talking a lot of BMW parts or BMW design ideas made cheap, and I think you probably go Saab.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Sean says, is this the end? Okay, great. We got 2 left, and then we're calling the game because we got to go. Sean says, my B8 S4 got totaled by a texter in traffic. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're okay. I want to jump to something a little more exotic. $55,000 budget, and I want a 2+2. Evora S, Porsche 997, Porsche 991. Any other options?
That's a tough one,
$55
right?
grand.
I mean, the 997 isn't a bad idea, but what else? Where else would you go with that?
$55 grand. You can get an M2. Brand new M2.
Yeah, I'd probably
rather have the 911.
Yeah,
I'd have a really nice 997 C2S over a fairly beat 991.
Yeah, and I'd probably take a 997 over any similarly impractical BMW, just because I don't know, it's more talkative, it's a better car.
Evora S's are not bad. The 400s are really where it's at. I don't know if you can get one that cheap. Maybe you could. Can you push the budget a little bit and grab an Evora 400, because that's really where it's at. It's a big difference from the S. But if it's just those 3 you got there, I would say 997 C2S or maybe a GTS if you can swing that, if you can get one. Thank you, sir. Andrew says, anything I should test before buying a 2018 V6 manual Camaro? I'm looking to spend less than $25,000 on a daily in around LA to replace my unbelievably uncomfortable MR2 Spider. Occasional canyons, my only car.
Well, he's looking at a 2018 V6 manual base. So I was look at a used market. I feel like you're spending so much money for something that it's not like a 1LE V6. It's just a base V6 Camaro.
Oddly, at that point, I think I'd just go a couple-year-old Mustang, right?
Yep. Yeah, get a few-year-old GT, and you'll be way happier. You can see out of better. You can see out of it. Yeah. You can put things in the trunk. You can fit things. You know, the opening in the new Camaro is better than the old one, but
it's not so much.
It's just so much money for a car that's like going to be forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, I would also look at maybe your GTIs, your Focus STs. GTI is a good one, man. You can get them right around 25. I don't know if they're under, but it's close.
You get a used Fiesta ST.
Yeah, that'd be rad. Those are a lot more fun than a V6 Camaro.
Yes. Cheaper too.
What else in that coupe category? Oh, dude, a BMW 135i.
Yeah.
For 135i is a lot of fun.
15, and you keep 5 for maintenance stuff. That's a ton of fun. I mean, you're obviously gonna be making payments if it's a brand new car, but hopefully you can get something without that.
135i is sweet. They are. Alex Bernstein really likes his.
Yeah,
he's mobbing and
fast.
They're really fast, and you could definitely get one for 15 and save some cash for. Also, check out an Accord V6 coupe manual. Seriously, it's not bad.
They're good.
Totally decent.
You spent too much time with Jack.
It's a nice car.
It is it's a great car.
It's a nice car.
It's a great car.
What else is? Anything else? I mean, FRS. GT86, maybe?
I wouldn't drive one of those every day. The clutch, and even with the automatic, you can't see out of them. I mean, it's...
FRS?
Yeah.
You can't see out the front?
Rear, 3/4, behind you. If you're in traffic, I just like
compared
a lot of glass.
To a Camaro? Camaro's like driving a hoodie.
Fair.
You can get a C5 Vet that's been well-maintained for like half that. It'd be way more fun.
Ooh, LA? Tough daily in LA. It's
That's
low.
true.
Low. A lot of
commute.
scraping. A lot of those through those dips,
Oh,
It's
that's
low.
a good point.
Yeah. All right. That's a show. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks,
plug
guys.
anything?
Road&Track. Read Road&Track. Read Road&Track. Read Road&Track.
Instagram is that Sam Smith, not the other one that sings, the one that writes. That's Sam Smith.
I do have multiple Grammys, though. Let's be fair.
You do 4?
Yeah, pretty much. Sure,
For
why
what?
not? Sure. Stay with me.
Yeah, mind the Integra Type-R driving north to Seattle. Don't steal his Integra Type-R.
I mean, it is the destiny of all Integra Type-Rs to eventually get stolen.
Sooner or later, it will be stolen.
The Earth will cool and fall into the sun.
Right? But until then, the new issue of Road&Track, he gets to write in print. I get to write in fucking... Although I'm in the new issue.
You are? It's
I
cool.
am the Aventador S... Is that out yet?
Should be.
That's next one, right?
I think.
I think it's next month. My Aventador SVJ got printed. Edited slightly and then printed. They don't let me just write whatever the fuck I want and then print that. They tone it down a little bit.
Everybody needs an editor.
They remove the F-bombs. I don't think I had any F-bombs, but they removed some things. All right. Well, that's a good show. We will see you next week. The Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is a microphone, a connection to the internet, and preferably something to say. Goodbye.